Hello, friends. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. How are you guys?
On top of the world, sir.
Of the
Great. How's the Josh?
Hi, sir.
Right, sir.
Yes, excellent. You have to keep that going, right? That's what it is. The two exams, however it has happened, doesn't matter. Right, if it has happened, great, excellent, keep that momentum going, use that momentum so that you can end up with great marks, right, somewhere in the rankers. Whereas if it has not gone to your expectation, absolutely fine, you have a wonderful opportunity to make up, right, to compensate. How? By scoring well in taxation. And it is definitely possible. Scoring in taxation is definitely possible. The point is we need to be specifically focused on certain particular aspects, right? That is what we'll be doing in this particular session, focusing on what we are supposed to do in next 1.5 days, which is extremely crucial. We have to make use of the next 1.5 days to the best possible extent so that it will be easy for us facing the exams. Correct? That's what we are supposed to do. So we'll straight away start with the session. The first part, obviously, as we all know, will be with regard to GST. Later, sir would be joining and taking up income tax. Okay. So with regard to GST, what do we have? See, there would it's not so easy. Okay, continuously focusing, especially from the past maybe 6 months at least, you are focusing on only this particular thing, right? Only inter exams. Apart from that, nothing else. So it is definitely difficult. It's not easy. But when you want to give up, remember why you started it, right? That definitely gives you motivation. It's few more days, maybe a matter of week, 1 week, right? Matter of 1 week. Give your best. Definitely, it's worth it. Okay. A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor, right? These things are required for us to become a successful chartered accountant. So for that purpose, we have to keep ourselves going. Yes, obviously this doesn't matter to us, group 1, group 2, but having said that, formality basis is the last exam of group 1. Give your best shot for it, right? The entire question paper is divided into two parts, income tax and GST. Under GST, the question paper has two parts, MCQs, descriptive. MCQs is for 15 marks, descriptive 35 marks, which we all aware of, right? MCQs 15 marks, how are they bifurcated? Case studies, 12 marks, and two independent MCQs, one of 2 marker and one of 1 marker. That's how the MCQs are being bifurcated. That's what has happened in the last two exams. Based on the experience of the last two exams, that's how it is. Now, with regard to MCQs, as we have from beginning understood, no separate preparations required. However, while answering the MCQs, we have to be very careful. Okay, preferably read the question twice, understand the requirement of the question. Sometimes it will be confusing. It's not difficult. Definitely it's not difficult, especially in GST. MCQs are not difficult, but it can be tricky, it can be confusing. So for that, what are we supposed to do? Read the question twice if you are getting confused, or preferably read it twice, it doesn't matter, and then only answer. And second point, you would have got the correct answer, filling the OMR, right? All these are small things you would have experienced in the first two papers. All these are small things, but extremely important, right? We have to ensure we fill the OMR correctly. For that, what are we supposed to do? We have to keep ourselves calm in the exams. Correct? We should not panic. Doesn't matter what happens. We have put in our efforts, right? It will definitely give results. So just keep yourselves calm, even if you're not understanding anything, if you're not able to answer anything at a particular time, certain cases, certain exams, it happens. Okay, each one of us, it would have happened. What are we supposed to do? Give ourselves 2 minutes, relax, and then restart writing. Definitely it works. Okay, so fill in the OMR correctly. Don't skip any MCQs. There is no negative here, unlike foundation. So do not skip any MCQs for that matter. Then coming to descriptive, again, read the question carefully. Again, why question carefully? Requirement. When we look into the question, yes, we understand it is related to e-invoice. It is related to e-invoice. We'll write everything related to e-invoice, not required. What specifically regarding e-invoice they are asking, right? We need to understand the requirement and answer to the point. That's all. We need not write stories here. right? If there are only 5 points in the exam, in the material that you would have learnt, if they have asked for 5 marks, 5 marks, 5 points, is it sufficient? Answer is 100% yes. If you write those 5 points, they'll give full 5 marks. Yes. So do not waste your time by writing stories there. To the point. Okay. Answering which question to be answered first. Anyhow, the preferred order we will be discussing going forward, right? But when you are answering, write the best question first. Normally, do not start with that compulsory question. Do not start with that compulsory question. Easier question, which you are confident, fully confident with, you have to answer that first. And there could be certain scenarios where you're not understanding how to answer it or what is the answer for that. In that case, look into the hint in the question. Okay, there would be some hidden hints, some key terms which will help you to understand, which will help you to link it to a particular concept and get the answer. And format of answering, depending on the type of question you have. If you have a calculation based question, computation of GST, computation of taxable value, computation of eligible ITC, the exemption related. In such cases, every adjustment when you are writing particular treatment of it, compulsorily we have to give a note on how are we treating that particular adjustment. Compulsory. That is definitely important. That is very, very important. Whereas if they're asking you theory based questions where we are writing the provisions of the law, in such cases, if they're just straight away asking the provision of the law, directly write the provisions of the law. If they're asking you to give your conclusion, certain scenarios, whether registration is required or not, in such cases, first bring in the law. What is the provisions of the law? Then in this particular scenario, what is this given case? What has happened? What is the aggregate turnover, or whether it comes under section 24 compulsory registration? And then based on these two, give your conclusion. That is how the format of answering should be. And do not write paragraphs, write it in pointers. Okay, write it in pointers. That is the preferred format of answering that gives you the maximum marks. Okay, so that helps you to present your answer better. And do not quote wrong sections. Even if you do not write section numbers, absolutely fine. Okay, with regard to section numbers, I'm understanding law paper, so some of us would have done that. It's okay. So with regard to section numbers, in GST, there are few sections, the first few chapters, right? Section 7 till section 16, 17 to some extent. And in registration chapter, 22, 23, 24. These are important sections that we might have to quote. Apart from that, other section numbers, if you know answer, else just write provisions of the law. Provisions of CGST Act 2017. That is sufficient. In this, subsections, if you remember, fair enough. Section 7, subsection might be important. Section 16 and section 17, subsection 5. Right? These are important. So there, if you remember section numbers, well and good. If you do not remember section numbers, it's okay. As per provisions of section 16. This is the law, right? That is definitely sufficient. And you can obviously use charts, tables, right? Present it in a format that you are comfortable with. Whenever they are asking you difference, CTP, NRTP difference, you can obviously use the tables and answer it. Then 15 minutes reading time, definitely crucial for us. Read the entire question paper, and you should, at that particular time itself, you should decide on the flow of answering. Which are the questions that you're answering first, second, third, and fourth. Order of answering should be decided in that reading time itself. We can use the last page of your answer sheet for rough use. If you have any points in your mind with regard to answering any of the questions, soon after the bell rings 2 o'clock, just scribble down all those points at the end of the answer sheet, so that when you're answering that question, you can come back and read, so that you do not miss any of those points. Those things can be done. Frame the answer in your mind before answering. Do not just jump it directly. You can spend 10 seconds, 20 seconds. That definitely worth. That helps you to finish the answer quickly because you know the flow of answering. Then you need not bring in the entire bare act as it is. No. Simple language in your own words you can write, but appropriate words. You cannot say sale. You have to use the word supply. Right? So that's how you have to use the word blocked credits. You have to use the word liable for registration, compulsory registration 24. So likewise, there are key terms that we know. Those terms we have to write compulsorily. Apart from that, simple language that we normally write in other papers, same way we'll be writing. Handwriting, obviously we have written the exams. Legible handwriting, it did not be beautiful handwriting. The normal speed, In our normal speed, what is the handwriting? That is the best handwriting of ours. So for that purpose, we should not be too fast also. We should not be too slow also. We should be in our normal speed from the beginning. That helps you have the same flow till the end. Okay, that's the reason maintaining normal speed is important. So at the beginning, we should not be too relaxed, too complacent in writing the answers. We should have the normal speed. Okay, normal speed, we should be normal. How we are answering in the classes, how we have answered the mock test papers in the same pattern, in the same way, you'll be writing your exams. And few more points. Write the correct question numbers. See, this might look silly again. Sir, we have already written 2 exams. Still important. Okay, still when you're writing the last exam, 6th exam also, it is still relevant because at the hot seat, these things we miss. Okay, write the correct question number, sub question number, extremely important. Attempt extra question also. Anyhow, sir would be emphasizing on all this later again. Now, at the end of the day, if paper is standard, do not panic. Evaluation would be easy. If paper is too tough, too standard, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to stay in the examination hall for 3 hours. That's the prerequisite. First point. Second, whatever we know, we have to write and come. Whatever we know. It doesn't matter whether you're confident of that answer, whether it is correct or not, doesn't matter. Write whatever we know with regard to that particular topic and come. Definitely it will help you, because when paper is standard, it's standard for everyone, not only for us, correct? So evaluation is evaluation will be easy, it will be lenient. And as I said, do not stop writing until 5 p.m. First 1 hour is crucial. We have to maximize our marks in that first 1 hour. Anyhow, the breakdown of it we'll be discussing about in the later part of it. Take all stationaries, including calculator, extremely important. Calculations involved in GST as well as income tax. So calculators are very, very important. And when you're taking calculator, you're not taking a brand new calculator, the calculator that you have already used, right? You should be used to for such calculators. So not take new ones. Coming to the subject specific GST. As we said, compulsory question, the first question there, it would be of 2 parts, one 10 marker, one 5 marker. 10 marker is computation of GST. So there will be outward supply, the format that we have used in solving in the class. First outward supply, then ITC, then RCM, then we'll bring the summary. Outward supply, utilization of ITC, add RCM, that will give you GST payable in cash. So that's the same format we have to stick into. However, the point that we have to not miss is individual, each entry here we have to give explanations compulsorily. We have to give explanation. That explanation can happen at the end by way of note. If you're doing that, give note reference here, or at the just below each adjustment itself, within brackets, you can give the explanations on the treatment that you have done. Both are absolutely fine. Then next 5 marker, normally it is about value of supply calculations or exemption. Basically, they're asking you to calculate the value of taxable supply. Okay, that is what they're using. They're asking. So section 15 related, 15(1) plus 2 minus 3 related questions normally, or in some cases, they can also ask you exemption based questions. They can ask you to find out whether they're exempt or taxable. So finally, total value of taxable supplies, computation of GST payable. So in that case, what are the topics that we have to focus on? In outward supply, reverse charge mechanism, the list of items, exemption, input tax credit, right? And similarly, computation of value of supply, the calculations. So for this type of questions, where do we refer? We'll not get this type of questions in study material. Go through the previous year suggested answers. Both you can refer May 24 as well as September 24 suggested answers, RTPs, MTPs, to get hold of these questions. Definitely, those questions will help you to prepare. We would have already done that. Glance through all those things again. Then apart from these other important topics, we have schedule 1, deemed supplies without consideration. Correct. Order of discharge of ITC, extremely important. First, IGST credit against IGST liability. Then IGST credit against CGST, SGST in any order, any proportion. Once I have completely exhausted IGST credit, I can go to CGST. CGST first against CGST. If there is any IGST credit liability pending, then against IGST, but can never against SGST. Similarly, then you can go to SGST, first against SGST liability, then if there is any liability of IGST pending and CGST credit is fully exhausted, then I can go to setting off it against IGST liability, but can never happen against CGST liability. Okay, this is the order of discharge of ITC. Then QRMP scheme, applicability of it becomes important. E-way bill, the applicability, exemptions, all those points. Composition levy scheme, their ineligible cases 10.1, 10.2, 10.2a. Then Schedule 3, non-supplies, that also can be important. Registration, liable to register, compulsory registration, turnover based, threshold based, not liable to register, all those things. Place of supply of goods, place of supply of services. Then tax invoice, revised tax invoice, consolidated tax invoice, right? Debit notes, credit note, in what circumstances debit notes, credit notes are issued, all those things are important. I'm talking about those areas which we cannot miss at all. However, these are not the only topics which are important, correct? All other topics are also important. Nothing can be skipped, but these are never miss topics. We cannot miss these topics at all, right? So that's the reason, extremely important topics. So coming to chapter wise, what are the areas that we have to focus on? What is the time that we can spend? Okay, because time is very crucial now. First chapter, spend 10 minutes, go through, glance through that particular chapter. There, what is important there is the goods or services which are, we say goods, GST is applicable on all goods and services. There are exceptions, right? We have alcoholic liquor for human consumption, petroleum products, tobacco, narcotic drugs, real estate sector. So those things, focus on that. Then supply chapter, we can spend 1 hour there. What are the things that we have to focus? Supply, section 7 starts with supply, includes 3 parameters, 7.1a. SCB, supply of goods or services or both, for consideration in the course of furtherance of business. Then Schedule 1 transaction without consideration, list of transactions there. Schedule 3, non-supplies. Then we have something called specified actionable claims. What are specified actionable claims? Why they are special? Because specified actionable claims are considered as supplies. They are excluded from Schedule 3. Then composite and mixed supply, the difference. When composite supply applies, mixed supply applies. Difference may be asked in the exams, correct? Then charge of GST, 60 minutes, 1 hour we can spend there. What is there in charge? Basically, important discussion there is reverse charge mechanism, especially with regard to services. Services, 9.3 related to service, GTA, recipient specific, there are specified persons, supplies by government to business entity, security service, both supplier and recipient specific, renting of motor vehicle, supplier and recipient specific, sponsorship, which is again recipient specific, legal services to business entity, renting of residential dwelling to registered person with exceptions, services by director to the company in the capacity as director, right? In all these cases, tax is payable. In certain cases, even tax is payable by e-commerce operators. 9.5, the list there. Omnibus, transportation of passengers. If it is omnibus, then it has to happen only if it is not a company. In other cases, any transportation of passenger gets covered under 9.5. Then composition levy, turnover limit for 10.1 and 10.2 separate, 10.2a separate turnover limit. Then goods and services, with regard to 10.1 and 10.2, we have marginal supply of service also exception, correct? Then you have rates of tax, 1% of total turnover, 1% of taxable turnover, difference between manufacturers and traders. Then restaurant 5%, 10.2a 6%. Then ineligible cases list, 10.1 and 10.2, 10.2 is similar. In 10.2a, services related ineligibility is not there. There is only difference between 10.1 and 10.2a with regard to ineligible cases. Then procedure for opting in, opting out, those things which we have. Then coming to place of supply, we can spend half an hour there again. Place of supply of goods in domestic transaction, that is goods. There we had with movement, where the movement terminates, without movement, where it is made available, B2B supplies, bill to ship to supplies, right? All those things. Then over the counter sales, important for our examination. Then place of supply of services, there we have first general rule where any of the specific rules are not applicable. Rule related to immovable property, normally it is location of immovable property. If immovable property located outside India, location of recipient. Performance based, there are 2 different categories. event admission, event organization, transportation of passengers, transportation of goods, right? See, even if you're not getting the complete picture of what are these, absolutely fine. What is the objective of this? What are we required to do in the next 1.5 days? Right? If we get that picture of it, then definitely this session is worth. Then coming to the next discussion, we have exemption. 45 minutes we can spend. Okay, there. What are we supposed to do there? There at the beginning, goods exempt, not so relevant. Services exempt, extremely important. There, important ones are charitable institutions by way of charitable activity, 12AA, 12AB registered entities. There we had renting of religious precincts with limits. That is important. Then agriculture related there are activities, processes, further processing of agricultural produce will be considered as exemption only if two conditions are satisfied. It doesn't alter the essential characteristic, make it marketable for primary market. Important points. Then education related. First, what is educational institution? Then outward supplies, there are two categories. Outward supplies to its students, faculty, staff, and entrance exams. Then input related, 5 different input services covered. Not all are applicable to all types of educational institutions. Which are applicable to what types of educational institution we need to understand. Then healthcare service, definition of healthcare service is important there. Then services by or to government, just glance through. Construction service, there we have Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana and single residential unit, which becomes important. Transportation service, transportation of passengers, glance. Transportation of goods, extremely important. The chart that we had discussed in the class. Then insurance service, glance through. Performance by artists, it should be in the classical or folk form of music, dance, theater, not exceeding 1.5 lakh per performance. Then admission to various events, certain cases fully exempt, certain cases 500 rupees per person, only then it is exempt. Apartment association, extremely important. Turnover exceeding the limit, then liable to register. Then if it is up to 7,500 per month per member, it is exempt, else it is taxable. Then we have time of supply. We can spend half an hour there. Time of supply of goods, time of supply of services, pattern remains the same. Time of supply of goods, normally on advance we need not pay tax, so it is directly date of invoice, due date of issuance of invoice, whichever is earlier. But for services, payment also comes into picture. If invoice is issued within the due date of invoice, date of payment, whichever is earlier. Not issued within the due date of provision of service, or date of payment, whichever is earlier. What is the due date of issuance of invoice in case of goods and services, we have discussed separately. Correct. Forward charge, reverse charge basis, both cases payment becomes relevant. In case of goods, it is 31st day from the date of invoice. In case of service, 61st day from the date of invoice. Then vouchers, specific voucher, general vouchers, common, residual cases, and addition in value, common principles for both goods and services. Due date for issuance of invoice, important. Then value of supply, section 15 says if two conditions are satisfied, if it is between unrelated parties and price is the sole consideration, then whatever amount is charged, that itself is transaction value. However, for that, we need to add certain things. Additions to the value, subtract certain things, exclusion. This is basically discount. Correct? Inclusions and exclusions, very, very important. Go through this because normally this is what is asked in the compulsory question, second part, B. Sub-question B, 5 marks. Normally this is being asked. So extremely important. Discount, post-supply discount, and supply discounts given at the time of supply. At the time of supply, if it is recorded in the invoice. Post-supply discount, 3 conditions to be satisfied. Then input tax credit, we can spend 45 minutes there. Extremely important. Section 16, eligibility and conditions for taking ITC. Section 16.2 gives us various conditions that we have to satisfy. Go through all those. 16.3, depreciation claim, no ITC. 16.4, time limit to claim ITC, extremely important. Then apportionment of credit, section 17. Their important is 17.5, blocked credits. Go through all the blocked credits, extremely important. Then section 18, credit in certain circumstances. Then you have, that is basically transfer of business, composition to regular, taxable, exempt to taxable, etc. Utilization of ITC, which we have already discussed. Rule 86A is restriction in certain cases, which they have mentioned. Rule 86B is very, very important for us. 1% restriction, correct? Applicability, more than 50 lakh taxable supplies in a month, then it is applicable. However, there are exceptions. Those exceptions are also important. Okay, rule 86B, do not miss, extremely important. Then comes the next topics. Do not miss these chapters. Okay, these might look procedural, this might look boring, but do not miss these. Easily we'll get around 15 marks here, and easily we can score 15 marks there. 15 to 20 sometimes. Okay, so easily we can score. So registration, 45 minutes we can spend. Person liable to register, section 22, turnover based. Compulsory registration, 24. In turnover we had 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 40 lakh, different states, different limits, right? Then compulsory registration, 24. Then persons not liable to register, 23. Normally wholly exempt, agriculturist individual HUF, exclusive dealing in RCM. That's how normally it comes under 23. Procedure for registration, glance through. Amendment, section 28, core field, non-core field. Then cancellation of registration, 29, by the applicant himself or department, suo moto. Then if it is suo moto department, then revocation of cancellation. Here, time limit, very, very important. 90 days from the communication of order of cancellation, which can be further extended by 180 days. Extremely important that. Then rule 10A, time limit, which was amended last year. So this can be crucial. 30 days from the date of registration or date of filing GSTR1 or IFF, whichever is earlier. That's the time limit in which bank account details have to be furnished. Then tax invoice, credit notes and debit notes, half an hour we can spend. Tax invoice, there are various types of invoices there. Revised invoice, in what circumstances revised invoice is issued? Can I issue a consolidated revised tax invoice, right? What is the time limit within which I have to issue revised tax invoice? Then there is something called consolidated tax invoice. 3 conditions to be satisfied: value less than 200, B2C, the recipient do not want invoice, right? In such cases, consolidated invoice. Then bill of supply, 2 cases: exempt supplies, composition dealers. Then receipt voucher in case of advance, payment voucher in case of RCM, refund voucher in case of refund of advance, delivery challan in case of movement of goods otherwise than by way of supplies, credit notes and debit notes, conditions to issue the documents of credit note and debit note. There were 4+1 conditions given in case of credit note, 4 conditions in case of debit notes. Go through those conditions. Then the details to be mentioned in invoice, their recipient regarding details and HSN are important. Glance through. Then e-invoicing, extremely important. Applicability, 5 crore aggregate turnover in any of the preceding financial year from 17-18. E-invoice is applicable. In certain cases, even if the turnover is more than 5 crore, exemption is there. List, SEZ unit, insurance company, banking company, financial institution, NBFCs, GTA, right? All those cases, e-invoice is exempt. Then dynamic QR code, B2C supplies, turnover, aggregate turnover preceding financial year, 500 crore. Dynamic QR code is applicable. In such cases, also we have exemptions similar to e-invoice, but there are some additions and deletions with regard to exemptions, which we had learned. So these we have to definitely not miss. Extremely important. Then accounts and records, 15 minutes, a small chapter. Who is required to maintain? Every registered person. Where? At the principal place of business, additional place of business. Till when he has to maintain? 72 months from the due date of annual return of that relevant financial year. In case of appeal, 1 year from the disposal of appeal, or 72 months, whichever is later. Then additional documents prescribed, exception to composition levy, stock of goods, details of taxes. Very, very important. This is very, very important. Agent related has been asked sometimes in the exams. Manufacturer, service provider, works contractor becomes important, has been asked. Then custodian, clearing and forwarding agent, owner of warehouse, all these points. Then we have e-way bill, 30 minutes, when it is to be generated before movement of goods. 2 parts, part A and part B in the e-way bill. Consolidated e-way bill does not have a independent validity, correct? What is the validity of e-way bill? Then can it be extended? Can it be cancelled? Right? Then the consignment value, when it is applicable, e-way bill is applicable. Consignment value, if it is more than 50,000. Then where e-way bill is not required, in certain cases, exceptions are given. Glance through that list of exceptions. Then we have payment of tax. We can spend 15 minutes there. We have electronic credit ledger, electronic cash ledger, electronic liability ledger, interest on delayed payment. If it is regarding output tax liability, then interest has to be calculated on the gross amount if it is missed in the returns. If it is not missed in the returns, if there is delay in filing the returns, on net basis. With regard to input tax credit, whenever you are reversing the input tax credit, interest should be paid. Then transfer of cash using PMT09 within the same GSTIN or to distinct persons. Both are allowed. Correct? Then application of electronic credit ledger only towards payment of tax, not interest penalty. Interest penalty can be paid only from cash ledger, no credit ledger. Then you have TDS and TCS. 20 minutes we can spend there. Applicability of TDS supplies to government departments. There is a limit, 2.5 lakh. Rate of TDS, and there are exceptions also. Glance through all those. Then TCS applicability is basically e-commerce operators. What is the limit? There is no limit. Rate difference. Rate of TDS, rate of TCS, different. Glance through. Then you have returns chapter. 30 minutes we can spend. Different types of returns. GSTR1, IFF. When IFF is used, QRMP related. Correct details of outward supplies. Debarred from filing GSTR1. Certain cases, you are not allowed to file GSTR1. Which are those cases? Important. Then GSTR2B. Then you have GSTR3B, GSTR4 in case of composition, GSTR5. Then you have first return, annual return, GSTR9, 9A, 9B, 9C. Final return, GSTR 10 after cancellation within certain time period you have to file it. GSTR 11 by UIN holders. Delay in furnishing the return, there will be notice defaulters, there will be late fees, right? We have discussed all those. GST practitioners who are eligible to become GST practitioners. Glance through Rule 88C and 88D. 88C is for outward supply difference, 88D is for input tax credit difference. Then you have QRMP scheme, very, very important. Applicability of QRMP, turnover based. Then type of payment, there is fixed self-assessment based or fixed payment, challan based. So both type of payment we have to go through. Then you have TDS returns, TCS returns, and last part of that chapter is late fees. Glance through that. Apart from this, what are we supposed to do? Revise all the limits. In certain cases it is 1.5 crore, in certain cases it is 5 crores, some cases it is 50 lakhs, right? Some cases 75 lakh, 20 lakh, 40 lakh, 10 lakh. Revise all the limits, thresholds, and you have to glance through or go through the RTPs of last two. That is your paper as well as the previous one, September 24 and Jan 25 exams, and statutory update material, which is very, very important. From statutory update material, there will be minimum 4 to 5 marks. Normally, if you look into the previous examination paper, that's how it is. They'll lift the question based on the points given in the statutory update material. So extremely important. Glance through all those points we have already discussed in the revision classes. It's just revising that you are supposed to do. Okay, if you can just glance through the suggested answers, this is the summary of what was there in the September 24 exams. See, the first question, 5A and 5B. 5A is 10 marks, computation of GST payable. 5B, 5 marks. What was it? Value of supply. No doubt at the end, GST payable is asked, but that is straightforward. What is important there is value of supply, calculation of value of supply. Then question number 6, 6A, 6B, 5 marks each. Composition scheme eligibility. Then you have place of supply. In place of supply, what had they asked? Over the counter and advertisement in hoardings. If you remember in statutory update material, there is a point on advertisement in hoardings, right? If we go through an agent, then it is advertisement service. If we directly take holdings on rent, that is renting of immovable property, related to service in relation to immovable property. So accordingly, the place of supply changes. Similarly, question 7A and 7B, applicability of TDS, whether TDS is applicable or not, such questions. They'll give you 2 to 3 scenarios. You have to understand that scenario and write whether it is applicable or not, why it is applicable, why it is not applicable, compulsorily. Then maintenance of records. I was talking about that. Works contractor, what are the records that he has to maintain? Then 8A and 8B. 8A talks about provisions related to import of service. That chart that we had learnt in the class, with consideration, without consideration. That chart, for 5 marks they had asked. Similarly, 8B, persons, it has 2 parts. First part was divided into 2. That's how normally will be 8B question. First, it has 2 alternatives. Either of this you have to answer. The first part of it is divided into 2 parts again. One is for 2 marks, one is for 3 marks. This is for 3 marks, this is for 2 marks. Now, if you have to choose among these two, one of the alternatives. Now, if you choose this alternative, you have to compulsorily answer both. because 3 plus 2 together it is 5 marks, right? What was asked? Persons exempted from e-invoicing. Just you have to write those lists, you'll get full 3 marks. Then validity of the acts of GST Council or additional accounts to be maintained by agent related. Works contract, agent related, correct, from accounts and records chapter. So either of it we can answer. So that's how September 24th suggestion answers. Pattern, we need to understand the pattern here, right? So for that purpose, see, I'll just glance through. Yes, so this is the suggested answers. This is the MCQ part. So as we said, 2 case studies. First case study will have 3 questions, 2 plus 2 plus through. Second case study also will have 3 questions, 2 plus 2 plus 2, 12 marks. Then you have one independent MCQ of 2 marks, one independent MCQ of 1 mark. Then you have the compulsory question, which is of computation of GST, the order that we have to follow, which we have learned, outward, inward, and RCM. Then 5B talks about computation of GST payable for 5 marks, basically the value of supply. See, here they are talking about whether it is supply or not, exemption related. So this is agreeing to an obligation to do an act. Then this is exemption related, booking of air ticket service. Then service of construction of building provided to state government, exemption chapter. Then 6A talks about composition levy, 10.1, 10A, 10.2A and 10.2, whether he is eligible for composition levy. They have given certain scenario. Basically, they are talking about marginal supply of service. 6.25 lakh. There is a limit, 5 lakh or 10%, whichever is higher. Correct? That is what we are supposed to write and explain. Then look at 6B. 6B is divided into 2 parts, 2 mark and 3 mark. We have to answer both because together it is 5 marker. Correct? 6B1 talks about place of supply. That is what I was talking about, over the counter sale. And 6B2 talks about that hoardings, advertisement in hoardings. Then you have question number 7, which is for 5 marks. TDS is required, whether it is TDS is required or not, applicability of TDS provisions. Then works contractor, what are the documents that he has to maintain, 5 marks. Then question number 8 has 2 parts. Question number 8A, there is no alternative for 8A. You have to just write import of service as per 7.1B, 7.1C and schedule 1. 8B has 2 parts, 2 mark, 3 mark, both we have to write. Categories who are exempt. Second, no act or proceedings of GST Council shall be invalid merely by certain reasons. What are they? First chapter, introduction chapter, from there they have lifted. Or if you're not answering this, go to this question, additional accounts or documents to be kept by the agent. Okay, this is how the paper will be. So if we'll come back to the material, I'll just complete it in a minute. So these are, so preferably what are we supposed to do? The last question that we discussed, that just now, right? Normally that would be straight away, either it would be place of supply chapter, or it would be from the statutory update, one of the clarifications. So it would be easy, straightforward. Easily we can score marks there. We can finish it quicker also. So preferably start with that question. And then you can move on to question number 2, because question number 2 is calculation based. If we know the provisions there, we have to just write why it is taxable, why it is not taxable, and accordingly you will get marks. Then you can have to go to the compulsory question. There, compulsory question, when you are answering, you cannot miss explanations. You cannot miss explanations for compulsory questions. Okay, so that is order of selecting. Anyhow, sir will be explaining further about when we should answer GST, when we should answer income tax, and the MCQ part of it. Then at the end of the day, we have to have positive attitude and mindset. As we discussed at the beginning of the session, do not panic. Okay, doesn't matter even if you're not getting the answer at a particular point. Just relax for a couple of minutes. You'll be able to, because you have put in all the efforts for the past 6 months. Definitely you will get through. Right? So at the end of the day, there is no specific timetable that will prescribe. Go through some easy topics today, so that you will have a good sleep. You'll be fresh tomorrow, and you can focus on important topics. Okay. Be proud of how hard you are trying. Believe in yourselves. You become what you believe. right? If you believe that you will be a CA finalist in the next few months, definitely no one can stop you from doing it. Repeat after me. I can do this. With this, I'd like to wish everyone all the very best. And I think sir has joined. Yes. So I'll hand over to sir for further important discussions and also how to approach the paper as a whole.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for enlightening me with your GST knowledge. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Happy Sankranti to you and everyone.
Thank
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, friends. Namaste. How are you all?
On top of the world, sir.
Hi, sir.
On the top of the world, obviously, isn't it? Okay. So let us go to some top of the marks. Ready?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So let us move on with the Chetty sir versus, GST versus income tax. It doesn't matter what others are doing, it matters what you are doing right now. So someone may be celebrating, ಎಳ್ಳು ಬೆಲ್ಲ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರ, ಬೆಲ್ಲು ಎಳ್ಳು ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರ, ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿ ಅವರು. ನೀವು ಸದ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಖಾಲಿ ಎಳ್ಳು ಬೆಲ್ಲ ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು go ahead, because Sankranti is an indication that some questions will be like bella, something may be like ಎಳ್ಳು, but still it will not be like the Yugadi. Okay, so ಬೇವು ಬೆಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Enjoy. Okay, continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection, so keep improving. That's what is required. Education is our passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. You are the only person on earth who can use your ability. ನಿಮ್ಮ ability ನಾನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತಾ? ಆಗಲ್ಲ ತಾನೆ. So this is what structure as we scheduled. So 10:15 ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, 10:15 ವರೆಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕುವಾಗಲೇ ನಾವು 90 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿದೀವಿ ನೋಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ, ಬಟ್ 90 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆ ಕಡೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಇನ್ಕಮ್ GST 2 subjects. Yes. So read Shankar.
Income tax, important points. MCQ not at beginning. Syllabus mainly 5 heads of income, set off, deduction, TDS.
So
Right,
5 heads of income, set off, deduction ಮತ್ತೆ TDS ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ that's done. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸದ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ರಿವಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್.
Write correct sections only if known perfectly. Maintaining good pace is very important. 3 separate booklets, MCQ, IT plus GST, income tax, GST.
So your order of writing is first paper descriptive, next you will be going for MCQs, then you will be second descriptive. So there are 3 different booklets ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Careful. Question paper ಟಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ, ಬರಬೇಡಿ. 3 1 3 2 3 3 ತರ. Next.
Compulsorily go through 2 ICAI MTPs of Jan 25, latest RTPs, amendment applicable for Jan 25 and 200 pages note.
ಇದು ಹೈಲೈಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾರು. ಓಕೆನಾ? ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್.
Aim out of.
So your question paper consists of 30 marks MCQ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕೇನ್ರ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ ಬಿಡಿ. Only choice is don't write the exam ಅಷ್ಟೇ. That's what CH says. Income tax 49 marks, GST is for 50 marks. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 14 ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನಲ್ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ 4 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. GST ಅಲ್ಲಿ 14 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು 5 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. That's why it is effectively 49 marks and out of. So totally 100 out of 129 marks. 90 plus is awesome. Be ready for 2 to 5 mark question. In GST, I went through some GST questions also, which sir has already told you. Good number of 2 to 3 questions ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 6, 4, 8, 6 ಆ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ 2 to 3 ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಬಟ್ GST ಅಲ್ಲಿ more of 2 to 3 more questions. Okay. Then something may be totally unknown, absolutely unknown. It is okay. Relax, just chill. Income tax is the ocean. Read questions carefully and answer accordingly. Working notes are very important while solving numerical. Like GST first question, income tax first question also with the reasoning. Why it is added, why it is not added. With the reason, ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. With reasoning ಕೊಡಲಿಲ್ಲದೆ you'll get only quarter mark. Clearly mention assumptions if any made. So this is a standard paper. Every time I say, last 3-4 exam. Earlier, yes, 98, 97 ಬಂದವರೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ income tax ಅಲ್ಲಿ. But recent ಆಗಿ subject has become standard because the law has become standard. So this paper is going to be little standard. Standard ಅಂದ್ರೆ CATSR student, CAP student will not get lesser than 50, 60, but still. So ನನಗೆ 100 ಬರಬೇಕು. 100 income tax GST is sentence only, no words ಅಂತ. ಆ ಥರ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಆ ಥರ. So, but you get 70 plus. Okay, that is awesome. Now minimum scoring strategy. Who knows? If your luck is very good, like May 24, income tax was easy. November 23 was very standard. So it keeps changing. Yesterday standard idru, being our student, you cannot get below 60, 70. Okay na? Okay. So minimum scoring strategy. MCQ, ಅದು ಹೇಳಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಹಿಟ್ ಆರ್ ಔಟ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ 10 ಬರಬೇಕು. 20 ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಲೆಂಟ್. 25 ಇಸ್ ಆಸಮ್. GST ರಿಪೀಟೆಡ್ ಥಿಯರಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 25 ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ 35. ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ PGVP ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 25 ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಬರಬೇಕು. 70 ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಟಾರ್ಗೆಟ್. 60 plus is also very good. You may end up with a rank if one of the standard papers, any paper for that matter, if you get 40 to 50 also will be rank holder. Aradhana Upadhyaya, 47 in Infotech earlier old scheme ಅಲ್ಲಿ, and 93 in accounts, all India 27th rank. ಆ ಥರ n ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ ಡಾಟ್ 40 ಬಂದವರು ಆಲ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ರ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, 20 ಜನ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಟ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಎಸ್, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಹಸ್ ಬಿನ್ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ನೌ ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್, ಎವ್ರಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ preparation, do's and don'ts. Yeah, do's, Shankar.
In the last page, rough sheet, 5 to 10 minutes, write points for each questions to be attempted.
So
Working notes, assumptions.
especially income tax GST is very relevant. Some sections, some, but 5 to 10 minutes ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಬಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರಬೇಕು. ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಬಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು. I hope you are using this technique in the exam. ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾರಾದರೂ?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Was it useful?
Yes, sir.
Those who are doing it, first 10 minutes ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. This I have followed it. 15 degree ಬಂತಲ್ಲ, ಹಂಗೆ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾವುದು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್,
Working notes and assumptions.
ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ CA ಕೋರ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ presumptions are extremely important. ಪ್ರಜ್ಞಾ ಹೆಗಡೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್,
Answer to the point, right word says section 10 exemption, section 80 deduction.
Yeah, to the point. So section 10 ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ exemptions, 80 ಅಂತ ಬಂದ deduction, 16 ಅಂತ ಬಂದ deduction, 24 is a deduction. Next,
Write correct question number, including sub questions.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದೇ what SMS sir has told, ಅಲ್ಲಿ 3 marks 2 marks or 5 marks ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ 2 marks ಗೆ ಆರ್ ಬರೆಯೋದಲ್ಲ, ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಆಗಿ, ಅರ್ಜೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು, ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೈಟ್. ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ 90 plus if I attempted, I am happy. 100 I want, 90 plus is awesome. Next,
Attempt extra question compulsorily. If out of syllabus, then full marks.
income tax GST last 10 minutes ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಬಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ಬೇಕು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, don'ts.
Don'ts. Relaxing before 3 hours.
somewhat ಮೇ 5 o'clock ವರೆಗೆ ಮುಚ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆನಾ, ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್, ಕೀಪ್ ಆನ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್, ಕೀಪ್ ಆನ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್. one mark, one minute can give you 1 mark, isn't it? Next,
Unnecessary wrong expectation of easy tough paper. Paper is the way it is for all across India.
So unnecessary tension, unnecessary wrong expression, don't, and wrong sections ಬರಬೇಡಿ. Yes, so this is the analysis what we have done for intermediate. Special thanks to Subiksha and anyone who has helped her also. Excellent job she has done, brilliant job. Thank you. Yes, I'll just quickly go through the income tax, only special points, multiple revision ಆಗಿದೆ. Income tax, the tax on total income earned by an SC during the previous year, chargeable tax investment year. Yes, now some of my friends of May 25 are listening. ತುಂಬಾ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ, ಸೊ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಡಿ. May 25, I think some present batch students are here. Good. Whatever we are discussing is for Jan 25. Previous year 23-24 assessment year. ನಿಮ್ದು assessment year ಯಾವುದು? Jan 25 ಅವ್ರದ್ದು.
24-25.
I repeat, Sindhu ಅಕ್ಕ ವಾಕ, Jan 25 ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅವ್ರ assessment year ಏನು?
24-25.
ಸಿಂಪಲ್, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ದ ಇಯರ್ ಇನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್, ವೇರ್ ಯು ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ January 25 falls in assessment year 25-23, 24-25, 24-25, 24-25. ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ. May 25 ಬಂದಾಗ ಅದು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, 25-26 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ assessment year ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಹಾಗಂತ ಸೊ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ January May 25 ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಗೋ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಮೋರ್ ಆರ್ ಲೆಸ್ ಲಾ ಇಸ್ ಸೇಮ್. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ದ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಇಯರ್ ಆರ್ ಫಾರ್ assessment year 24-25. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಶಂಕರ್? ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
So slabs for 5 slab SC with the BL 2.5 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh. And same ಇದೆ 5%, 20%, 30%. About 10 lakh, 30%. Resident senior citizen 60 years and above. Resident at the word ಇರಬೇಕಲ್ಲಿ 60 years and above, it should be 3 lakh. Resident senior citizen, very senior citizen 8 years and above, so 5 lakh. 1st April birthday ಇದ್ರು one of the days 31st March ಗೆ will become 60/8 years. Firms bar local 30% flat. ಸೊ ಡೊಮೆಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಟರ್ನ್ ಓವರ್ ನಿಮ್ದು ಜನವರಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ 21-22 ಪ್ರಿವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡು 25%, 400 crores ಇಂದ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇದ್ರೆ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ 30%. ಕೋಆಪರೇಟಿವ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಅಪ್ ಟು 10,000 10%, ದೆನ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 10,000 20%, ಅಬೌಟ್ 20,000 30%. ಹೊಸ 115 ಬೇ ಕ್ಯಾಬೆ 115 ಬೇ ನ್ಯೂ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರಿಂಗ್ ಕೋಆಪರೇಟಿವ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ 15% ಫ್ಲಾಟ್ ರೇಟ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಡಿಫಾಲ್ಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಜಿಮ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇದು ಜನವರಿ 25 ಅವರಿಗೆ. ಸೊ ಎವ್ರಿ 3 lakh 5% ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್. 3 lakh ಇಂದ ಶುರು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ನಾನ್ ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. 60 years 90 years 80 years ಯಾವುದು ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಬಿ ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್. ಸೊ ಅಪ್ ಟು 3 lakh ನಿಲ್, 3 to 6, 6 to 9 ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ 3 lakh 5 to whatever. ಸೊ 20% to 30%, 25% ಸ್ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅಬೌವ್ 15 lakh ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಅವೇ 30%. ಸರ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್, ಸೊ 5 ಸ್ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ SC ವಿತ್ BL 50 lakh ಇಂದ ಶುರು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಿಲ್ 10%, 15%, 25%, 37%. 115 BSc ಬಂದಾಗ 25%. Whereas for such 5 SSCs ಮಾತ್ರ all share related, dividend income 111A, 112A, 112, maximum surcharge is 15%. ಬೇರೆಯವರಿಗೆ ಅದು ಬರೋಕ್ಕೆ ಚಾನ್ಸೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಬೇರೆಯವರಿಗೆ no one else has got a surcharge more than 12%. ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ 25%. Then most of the other cases, surcharge is above 1 crore ಬರೋದು, above 1 crore 12% normally. Domestic company above 1 crore 7%, above 10 crore 12%. Foreign companies above 1 crore 2%, above 10 crore 5%. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರೇಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಫಾರಿನ್ ಕಂಪನಿಗೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರೇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಎಷ್ಟು? ನಿಮ್ದು 40%.
40%.
Yes, right. ठीक है. Next, SSC extremely important. Liable to pay tax or any other sum under this act. Section 27 ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಕೊಕ್ಯಾಕಿ SSC ಗೆ ಕೊಕ್ಯಾಕ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅವ್ರು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್, and includes representative SSC, deemed SSC as in default. Liable to tax 229A. So an important definition is liable to tax in any other country, even if a subsequent exemption ಕೊಟ್ಟರು is liable to tax. Section 234 read with section 3 previous year. Financial year immediately preceding the assessment year. Normally it is 12 months. Less than 12 months when the new business or the new source arises. Estimate year is always 12 months, commencing on 1st April. Income of the previous year is normally chargeable in estimate year, but the exception is slab B. Person definition, 7 categories of persons. Charge, capital receipts are normally not chargeable unless specifically included. Revenue receipts are normally chargeable unless specifically exempted. Mutuality, income from mutuality. So I cannot make a profit by selling to myself. Bankipur Clubs Limited, Honorable Supreme Court decision. And diversion of income is not taxable. Application of income is taxable. Then special incomes, the tax rates are given by the income of the act itself, like long-term capital gain, short-term capital gain, etc. Whereas normal income, tax rates are given by Finance Act every year. Dividend is a normal income. Speculation profit is a normal income. Slab rate apply ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ. ಸರ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ಗೆ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. Rebate. If a resident individual up to 5 lakh rupees total income, you'll get 12,500 rebate. Whereas if under the new regime, 115 BSL, up to 7 lakh rupees, 25,000 ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. 87 yearly, we also have marginal relief. It effectively works up to 727, 777, but round up ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 727, 770 stop ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Next. So 224, Shettisar's birthday, 24th February, 224. So income tax definition, income definition. Important is employee contribution receive ಆದಾಗ ಅದು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯರ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ವಿದಿನ್ ದ 139 1 ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ರೆಲೆವೆಂಟ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. PF ಮತ್ತು ESIಗೆ ಸೇಮ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್. ಎಸ್, ಇನ್ಸೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಪಾಲಿಸೀಸ್ ಅದೊಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಅದರ ಪ್ರತಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಗೋತ್ರು ಮಾಡಿ. Keyman insurance policy premium is allowed under section 37(1) when received, normally received by the employer, business income, received by the employee, salary income, received by anybody else, is income from other source. Then ULIP with 2.5 lakh is on the limit there. Whereas from this year amendment, normal life insurance policy 10% or more policy amount is taxable. At a policy issued on or after 1/4/2023, policy premium is less than equal to 5 lakh, then exempted. Otherwise, it is going to be taxable. Amount taxable in both ULIP is taxed as capital gain, whereas insurance policy is taxed on income from other source. Amount received minus deduction not claimed earlier minus any amount exempted earlier. That is the amount which is going to be taxable. Fine. Agriculture income, 2 within bracket 1A. Rent or revenue received from any land situated in India, agricultural activity. Then only for the farm building, it should not be in an urban land. It should be subject to local land tax. I am growing sugar cane in the heart of Bangalore. It is agriculture income. Only farm building should not be in the city. That's the point. Next, partly agriculture, partly business income. RCT, rubber, coffee, tea. Least income is agriculture. Highest income, highest percentage is agriculture. Rubber 65%, coffee 75%, tea agriculture income is 60%. However, if the coffee roasted and grounded, coffee and tea will become same. Any other case like sugar cane, the sugar madadaga, fair market value the agriculture produce is added to agriculture income, deducted from the business income. Am I too fast?
No, sir. No, sir.
You're able to catch? You're able to catch?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Agriculture income is completely exempt from tax in section 10(1). Agriculture income defined in section 2(1)(e). Okay. India foreign agriculture income is always taxable, and partial integration never taxes agriculture income. It pushes the non-agriculture
taxable
higher slab. Very good. Partial integration to 2 conditions. Agriculture income should be above 5,000. Non-agriculture income should be above BL. Income tax, anything we talk is about per annum. Conditions for, steps, add agriculture income to non-agriculture income, compute tax. Add agriculture income to BL, compute tax. Step 3, step 1 minus step 2. ಅದು ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ 87A ರಿಬೇಟ್ ಬರೋದು, ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ಸರ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಬರೋದು, ದೆನ್ HEC ಎಲ್ಲ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಎಂಡಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಅನ್ಫಾರ್ಚುನೇಟ್ಲಿ ಯು ಎಂಡ್ ಅಪ್ ಪೇಯಿಂಗ್ HEC ಈವನ್ ಆನ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಮಾರ್ಜಿನ್ ರಿಲೀಫ್ ಬಂದಾಗ, ರೈಟ್? So very important, one more section 6 residential status individual, 6 residential status ಮತ್ತೆ section 5 extremely important interconnection. Individual section 6(1) more than 182 days resident ಅಥವಾ 60 days plus 365 days resident. ಆ 60 days exceptions important. An Indian citizen leaving India for employment abroad or crew member of Indian ship. So in that case 60 days should be subject to 182 days ಅಷ್ಟೇ. If already you are settled outside, you are an Indian citizen or person of Indian origin, only then when you come to India on a visit, then 2 RMRs. Indian total income is more than 15 lakh, then 120 days is considered. Other cases, 120 days. An important part is total income in India, excluding from foreign sources, including received in India, earned in India. For this purpose, it also includes income from business controlled from outside India or a professional setup in India. So, take an example of Rishika, settled in South Africa. She comes to India on a visit. Her salary income in India is 10 lakh. Her dividend income is 4 lakh. Then she has business in South Africa, controlled from India, let's say 2 lakh. It will become 16 lakh. Then in that case, assuming the number of days she stayed for 120 days or more, she is a resident in India. She stayed for 120 days or more, she is a resident. Then her total income continues to be 16 lakh. Be careful here. Whereas if she stays in India for 118 days, she will become a non-resident. Then her total income in India is only 10 lakh plus 4 lakh. 10 lakh plus 4 lakh plus 2 lakh ಅಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆ? ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ 120 ಡೇಸ್ಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿ ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಶಿ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕ್ಲಿ R but NOR or 16 lakh continues. If she for the purpose of section 6(1), you include that 2 lakh from South Africa. If she becomes non-resident, her total income will be 14 lakh. ಅದನ್ನು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಮರಿಬೇಡಿ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? Next.
Yes, sir.
Then if she is not a resident under 6(1), then you have to go for 6(1)A, only for Indian citizen having Indian total income more than 15 lakh and not liable to tax in any other country because of domicile, etc. That is deemed to be resident and automatically R but NOR. Section 6(6) incidental to this R but NOR condition ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. So 120 days ಮತ್ತೆ 6(1)A is always R but NOR. ಮತ್ತೆ all other people will be R but NOR. Two negative conditions. Either last 10 years ಅಲ್ಲಿ non-resident for 9 out of 10 years or last 7 years ಅಲ್ಲಿ 729 days or less ಸೇವ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. Except that 182 days 60 days ಬಿಟ್ಟರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಿವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು you have to do the calculation. Then HF any other SSC partly in India resident, partly management control, 100% of management control outside India, non-resident. Indian company is always resident in India. Foreign company when the poem place of effective management control is in India. Next. So section 1 short title commencement extent whole of India including Jammu and Kashmir. 2 is definition, 3 previous year, 4 charge, 5 the scope of total income. Depending on the residential status, incomes are chargeable. R and OR, R but NOR, NR ಅಂತ ಬರೋದು ಇಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ, ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಮತ್ತೆ HFಗೆ. ಬೇರೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾನ್ ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್. R and OR global income is charged, income are taxable. Whereas non-resident only 2 incomes, received in India, earned in India. Received includes deemed to be received, earned includes deemed to accrue or arise in India. R but NOR beach ka, like non-resident plus income from business control or profession set up in India. Past untaxed profit brought into India shall not be taxable. Then received means first receipt and not the subsequent receipt. Yes, section 7 deemed to be received. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ section 7 ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು salary definition ಎಂಡಲ್ಲೇ ಆಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. Annual acquisition to RPF, transferred balance in RPF, ETCCD pension scheme. Section 9 incomes deemed to accrue in India. Analytical question ಬರುತ್ತೆ. 9(1) ನಲ್ಲಿ there are 8 clauses deemed to accrue. 9 subsection 2 says pension to that useless fellows who are pre-independent judges in India as per Article 314 of Constitution C capital is who are permanent resident outside India shall not deem to accrue as in India. 9(1)(1) business connection in India. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಗೊತ್ತು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. CSO ಕನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್, ಮೇಂಟೈನಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಅಥವಾ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಅನ್ ಏಜೆಂಟ್. ದೆನ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಷನ್ CPNCD. ದೆನ್ ಸಿಗ್ನಿಫಿಕೆಂಟ್ ಇಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದಿದೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ MCQ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಸಿಗ್ನಿಫಿಕೆಂಟ್ ಇಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ more than that foreigners or the non-resident are having more than rupees 2 crore transactions in India ಅಥವಾ more than 3 lakh number of users ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಕ್ಕೆ rupees 2 crore is big, 3 lakh number is big. Stupid statement, but still you understood ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. 3 lakh ನಂಬರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತದ್ದು, 2 crore ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ rupees 2 crores ಮಾತಾಡುವಾಗ 2 crore is bigger than 3 lakh. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ rupees 2 crores more than 3 lakh ನಂಬರ್. ನೆನಪಿದೆಯಾ ನವೀನ್ ಕುಮಾರ್? Right. So then 912 salary in India. So you include rest period, leave period. Salary paid to Indian embassy outside India 913. Dividend paid by an Indian company outside India 5, 6 and 7. Interest, royalty, then FTS. All are similar. Only thing is interest case only. So if you are a resident, okay, anywhere in the world actually, so if you're a resident, if you're using the money outside India, it's not taxable. And if you're a non-resident, you should use that loan only for business in India. Whereas royalty ಮತ್ತು FTS ಅಲ್ಲಿ non-resident uses that money for business or any other purpose also deemed to accrue or arise in India. Section 8 is a dividend, chargeability of dividend. Final dividend is in the year of declaration. Interim dividend in the year in which it is unconditionally made available, and deemed dividend 222. 222 ನಿಮ್ಗೆ AD to the power B LRL. Okay, it is applicable to every company except the last one, clause E. Clause E is only for X company. So distribution of assets, debentures, company liquidity, reduction capital. 222E ಮಾತ್ರ applicable to X company. Company which public are not substantially interested, where loan is given to individual Shankar who is holding 10% or more, or to the firm of Shankar and Tanmay where they are holding 20% or more. 222E. And now there is no concept of DDT. Next. So section 10, 11, 12, 13 are exemptions. So somewhere in salary chapter relevant. 14 says heads of income. So chapter 4A in the 4F, heads of income. If you can reasonably remember, greater. 4A is income from salary 15 to 17. 4B omitted. House property 4C 20 to 27. 4D ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, chapter 4D. PGBP 28 to 44 Divya Bharati. 4E is capital gain 45 to 55A. 4F is income from other source 56 to 59. Then 60 to 65 is clubbing, 70 to 80 is set off and carry forward. 80C to 80 is deduction. Right. So salary taxable on due base or receipt base, whichever is earlier. Accrual is different from due. Due is when it is supposed to be paid. Accrual as and when the transaction takes place. Deductions, standard deduction up to rupees 50,000 rupees, including for pension, and new regime only. Okay. So also every new regime only 50,000 standard deduction ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. Next 16 to entertainment others, add everywhere. Deduction only to the government employee, maximum 5,000. 16.3 professional tax borne by the employer, deduct, borne by the employer, add and deduct. 17.1 is the definition of salary. Salary includes everything received from the employer, wages, annuity, pension, whatever. Okay. Then 17.2 is a perquisite. So perquisite basically RFA, concessional RFA, any benefit or provided to specified employees. In the beautiful table is perquisites can be given to the employee or to the member of household. Member of household includes spouse within the bracket, yes, parents, children and their spouses, servants and dependents of the employee. So RFA, government employee, license fees. So nimge, so only the January 25 people should listen, others don't listen to this. Okay. So if you're a government employee, license fees. Non-government employee won't adre specified rates. You have to remember the date. Up to 31st August, ಮತ್ತೆ 31st August ನಂತರ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಯೂರಿ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬೈ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ದಿಸ್. ಅಪ್ ಟು 31st August 23, ಫಸ್ಟ್ 5 monthsಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 7 monthsಗೆ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ಸ್ 10% of the salary. So sorry, 15% of the salary. Yeah, 15% of the salary, 10% of the salary, and 7.5% first 5 months. After 5 months, it is 10%, 7.5%, 5%. ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸಲ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. RFA, May 25 people don't listen. 31st August 23 ವರೆಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ 15%, 10% and 7.5%. Then all of you, including May 25, 31st August 23 ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ it is 10%, 7.5% and 5% of the salary depending on the population as per the latest census. Right. One special point is, if the accommodation is hired, what is the maximum rate? 15% or 10%, ಅಥವಾ hotel charges, whichever less. So higher charges. Hotel accommodation ಗೆ maximum is 24% of salary, X plus Z ಮಾತ್ರ, plus Y ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. One special case is when same accommodation is given to in the next year. So whatever the perquisite completed last year into CII of the current year divided by CII of the last year ಅದು ತಗೋಬೇಕು. So CII is basically 23-24 ಶುರುವಾಗಿದೆ. So 1721 RFA, read with Rule 3.1. 1722 is concessional RFA, read through 1. 1723 is any benefit or provided to specified employee. Specified employees, 5 perquisite, CS get. Car, sweeper, gas, electricity, etc., education facility, transport facility, normally CTC minus that. An education facility out of the own source iddaga up to 1,000 per child. Any number of children, it is exempted. It is exempted. Above 1,000 is fully taxable. Then employee's obligation made by the employer, fully taxable. Then any contribution to assure the contract, taxable. Perquisite, sweat equity, Rule 3.8 and Rule 3.9. Fair market value minus that is taxable. Employer's contribution to superannuation fund, approved. Then RPF and pension scheme, above 7.5 lakh. Excess is taxable. Interest on the same is also taxable. Any other fringe benefits? Fringe benefits are given in Rule 3.7, like gift in kind, 5,000 and above fully taxable. Then food, 50 rupees excess is taxable. Then any perquisite given without RFA, like furniture given, consider why. 10% of the furniture or actual hire charges, whichever is less is applicable. Whichever is applicable is going to be the perquisite. Wherever they give you mobile phones, laptops, etc., there is no perquisite. Laptop, computer, etc. However, mobile phone is taxable. Mobile bill is exempted. Computer but the laptop sale model taxable is given to you for usage, not taxable. So when it's sold to you, computers and electronic gadgets, original cost minus 50% WDV on reducing balance. Then motor cars, original cost minus 20% WDV. Every other asset, including TVs, etc., which are not electronic items, 10% SLM for completed years of usage. Any asset which is more than 10 years old, there is no perquisite. Yes. COVID in the, if the employee death it's fully exempted. If it is from any other person, not from the employer, maximum 10 lakh rupees, provided it is received within 1 year from the date of death. 1010 CC, tax on non-monetary perquisite borne by the employer is fully exempt. You have to do the calculation. 1010 is gratuity, maximum limit is 20 lakh, covered by not covered. Covered under 15 days, not covered under half month. 1010A, committed pension. So 1/3 or 1/2 of the full value of committed pension. 1010AA, important. So if the leave granted is more than 30 days per annum, ಅದನ್ನು ignore ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Statute limit ನಿಮಗೆ 25 lakh ಆಗಿದೆ ಇವತ್ತು ನಿಮ್ಮ year ಇಂದ. Okay. And also one extra condition, average salary into 1010. Most of the cases we get only 3 conditions. Then anything received from approved superannuation fund, SPF, BPF, everything is exempted. 1013A, read with Rule 2A. Government and non-government, money ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸೇಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Rent paid minus 10% of salary, actual HR received, or 40% or 50% if you are residing in Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi, Madras. Most of the places salary means salary, basic pay plus DA if it is taken for retirement benefit plus commission as a fixed percentage of turnover. Most of the places, whereas gratuity covered gidre basic pay plus entire DA, entertainment allows you only basic pay. Perquisites basic pay, DA taken, any commission, allowances to the extent taxable, fees, bonus by whatever name called, everything is taken. Are you able to recall reasonably?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Objective is whatever I do, build upon it another one day or whatever time after reading GST. Next, 1014 special allowances, city hard official amount received minus exemption is equal to amount spent. Balance amount is taxable. Personal allowance specified. So children education allowance esto tanmay is maklo exemption allowance maklala 100 per month per child up to maximum 2 children. Children hostel allowance 300 per month per child up to maximum 2 children. Whereas disability, so if people are specially able people disabled, then transport allowance ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. 3,200 per month per child ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸಾಕು. 1010C, 1010B is retrenchment compensation 5 lakh. 1010C VRS compensation 5 lakh. 10.5 LTC block of 4 years. Okay. Nimdu block, I think it should be what is the block? 24. Your previous year is what? Current block is 1821 alla. Okay. In the previous year 2324 alva.
Yes, sir.
Hello? Yes. So it should be 22 to 25. Nimdu 22 25 note ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. 22 to 25 ವರೆಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮ್ದು ಬ್ಲಾಕ್. ಓಕೆ. ನಾನು ಕರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಇರ್ಲಿ. ಅದು ರಿಷಿಕ ನೋಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು 30 seconds ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. I thought number should come down. I think the number ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಯ್ತು. GST majority portion ಆಗೋಗಿದೆ. More people should have been there. House property, LOP and DLOP, GAV, MRV or FRV, whichever is higher, standard rent, whichever is less, ARR minus UR, whichever is higher, minus unrealized rent. So, sorry, vacancy allowance will be given, E is equal to D. Adadmele less municipal tax paid by the owner anywhere in the world, that's called NAV, minus two deductions. Flat deduction of 30%, star deduction 24 small a, then any amount of interest for ACR cube is allowed. Next, 23 two properties, either self-occupied in Bangalore or both the properties are in Sirsi. I'm in a rented house in Bangalore. One Sirsi, one Bangalore, one house, sigodilla, ondak matra sigatte. So annual value is nil. Only reduction is interest up to 30,000 rupees. Our weighted reduction of rupees 2 lakh rupees, up to 2 lakh. When if you get a certificate and it is only for acquisition and construction, completion within 5 years from the end of the financial year in which loan is borrowed. Bharat Batra. Whether it take in April, September or March, year end plus 5 years completion ge time sigute. Pre-construction period is also included in that calculation. Date of the loan, 2 RMRs. Complete repayment date or immediately preceding year of completion, whichever is earlier, a period though 1/5 will be considered in the calculation part. Next, partly self-occupied, partly vacant, annual value is nil. Partly self-occupied, partly let out, proportionate of the house adre paravagilla. Whereas 3 months self-occupied, 11 months self-occupied, 1 month let out, 12 months it is taken as a let out. 22 is charging annual value of a building of a owner is chargeable under house property except used for own business. Next, 23 is annual value of the real estate people. So from the year of completion, next to 2 more years, no deemed letter property comes into picture. Only after that comes 24 is a deduction. 25 is no reduction if interest payable outside India without TDS. 25A, unrealized rent recovered or arrears of rent recovered, minus 30% under that section itself, taxable even though you are not the owner. 26, very good Parinita. 26 co-owners. Myself and Parinita are co-owning 60-40. Ratio is definited as ascertainable, individually calculated, otherwise it is an AOP. 27, owner definition, transfer of property to the spouse without consideration, to the minor child without having a agreement to, minor child without any adequate consideration, then disputed property, etc. Chapter 4D, PGBP, business income. So business income computation format ನೋಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು 2 RMRs. Right side, professional income ಆದರೆ cash basis, receipt minus number 1, expense actually paid, business expense, allowable expenses. Number 2, depreciation under section 32. Left side, business income, P&L account ಅಥವಾ IND account ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. Even professionals can follow cash system. Net profit ಅಥವಾ surplus as per P&L account. Add number 1, expenses disallowed but debited to P&L account. The exact opposite is what? Less. Expense allowed, but not debited to P&L account. Next, ulta business incomes not credited to P&L account, add ulta non-business incomes credited to P&L account minus money. Fine. So now 2 important major discussion. What is deductible? What is not deductible? 28 is the charging section. Any income from business or profession is chargeable, including managing agency, ICDQ in the case of export incentives. Then interest salary received by a partner from a partnership. Myself and Basava are partners. So deed 18% agade. Nanige 12% is allowed under the 40B. Business only for 12% allowed. For me, income is also 12%. 12%. ನೆನಪಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಹತ್ತು ಸಲ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಇನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ ದೇವರ ಕಾಪಾಡಲಿ ನಾನು. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ 30 to 36 ಆರ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್, 37 1 ಜನರಲ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್. ನ್ಯೂ ಬ್ಯಾಚ್ ಅವರು ಸರ್ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಆಗೋದು ಬೇಡ, ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದು. 30 R3 TI of building, 31 is repairs and insurance of the machinery, furniture, etc. 32 is the depreciation. Okay, hold on. Then ನಿಮ್ಗೆ relevant 35 scientific research, capital expenditure, revenue expenditure related to business fully allowed. Then 35D, 1/5 of the preliminary expense is allowed. Then 35DD is amalgamation, demerger expense in Gilla, 1/5. 35DDA, Diksha, ಇದೇ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ VRS ಕಾಂಪನ್ಸೇಷನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ 150 is allowed. 36 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಲ್ ಕಾಂಜಿ ಪಿಂಜಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸ್, ಇನ್ಸೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರೀಮಿಯಂ, ಬೋನಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕಮಿಷನ್, ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ ಲೋನ್, ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಡ್ ಡೇಟ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟು ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್, ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಲೌಡ್. 32 ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಕಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್. ಡಿಪ್ರಿಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಅದರ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ಬಿಲ್ಟ್. 2 RMRs. ಪವರ್ ಜನರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಥವಾ ಜನರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಕಮ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗ್, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ an ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಗಿವನ್ for each unit or undertaking to follow. So you can follow the option. So either SLM. Once you follow the option, you cannot come out of it. Okay. So whatever the cost into appendix 1 year rates. If that asset is sold after some time, loss or the terminal depreciation, if it is written off in the books of account, profit within the original cost is balancing charge under 41(2). Profit over and above original cost is short-term capital gain under section 50A. WDV, Alegandar Pada. Everybody else can follow WDV based on WDV for each block of asset. Open in WDV, add actual cost addition, visualize. ನಿಮಗೆ 4th October ಡೇಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ನಿಮಗೆ 2024ಗೆ.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
4th October ಆನ್ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಲೆಸ್ ದೆನ್ 180 days ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಡೇಟ್ ಅನ್ನ, ಲೆಸ್ ದೆನ್ 180 days ರೆಡ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಆಲ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಇಂಕ್ ಅಂತ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ದೆನ್ ಲೆಸ್ ಸೇಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ಸೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಮನಿ ಫಾರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್. Difference is called WDV. Another 2 big RMRs used for less than 180 days, you have to claim half. Right side, greater than equal to 180 days, you have to claim full. And if it is starting, if they use the word Kavana manufacture or something, it's an absolutely new plant and machinery. 32(1) additional depreciation. Left side ಅಲ್ಲಿ 10%, whatever you have done, other 10% ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Right side ಮಾಡೋ ಒಂದು ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. Right side only on the addition during there. WDV ಮೇಲೆ ಅಲ್ಲ. Okay. So left side ಏನು ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. Right side only on the addition during the year you have to calculate 20%. Left side the 10% additional depreciation is allowed in the next year. ಅದನ್ನ ಮರಿಬೇಡಿ. Clear? Right.
Yes.
Then 32(2), 35(4), that is 19. Identical triplets. Any depreciation. So SLM, WDV, terminal, additional depreciation, all unabsorbed. ಅಥವಾ 35(4) only for capex referred in 35(1)(4). 30(19) only for companies. Family company ಇದ್ದಾಗ stupid but still I can't help it. So family planning company ಮಾತ್ರ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಬೇರೆಯವರಿಗೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಪಾರ್ಟ್ನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್ ಆನ್ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ allowed ಇಲ್ಲ. Capital expenditure 1/5, revenue expenditure fully allowed. Okay. All this unabsorbed carry forward for any number of years, adjust against any income in any year except salary income. Right. Then right side part, these are all allowed. So disallowances. 38 building etc. partly is proportionate. 40 2 RMR, small a, small b. 40 small a says tedious if you are not done. Salary salary is dangerous. Salary payable outside India or salary to non-resident in India, TDS has to be remitted within 7th of next month or 30th April for March payment. If you are not done, 100% permanently disallowed. Every other payment, any other thing payable outside India or non-resident in India, do the TDS within 139(1) due date. If you have done it, it is allowed this year. Otherwise, it is allowed in the next year, 100%. If it is any payment to resident in India, including salary, so if you have not done the TDS under 139(1), 30% disallowed this year, 30% allowed in the subsequent year. 40 small a Rishika and 43B both subsequently in the year of payment. 10th April next year due date ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಲ್ಲ, next year of payment. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಅವಳೆಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಬೀಚ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ. ರೈಟ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ 40 capital A ದೊಡ್ಡಣ್ಣ. He overrules everybody else. Okay. So 40A2 unreasonable payment to relatives. So Rishika is my relative, Samhita is not my relative. Equal qualification ಇದ್ದಾಗ, if Samhita I pay 10 lakh, Rishika I pay 14 lakh, 4 lakh is disallowed, 14 lakh is not disallowed. 40A3, very important. ಎರಡು ಕಡೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. About 10,000 rupees if you pay in a day to a person in aggregate. In a day to a person in aggregate. ಗುಯ್ಗುಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಟಪ್ಪಲ್ಲಿ ಓಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಗುಯ್ಗುಡುತ್ತೆ. About 10,000 in a day to a person, 2 RMRs. If it is a capital expenditure, exclude from the cost. So anything, whether the family planning, 35 AD, ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗಲೂ you should exclude from the cost. ಸೊ ಅಷ್ಟು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ರೆವಿನ್ಯೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಇಯರ್ ಆದರೆ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ವಿಶ್ರುತ 4 lakh ಬಿಲ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ 12,000 ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಎಂಟೈರ್ 4 lakh is disallowed. Whereas this year I not paid, next year only payment is going to be deemed income 48(3). Okay. Then approved gratuity fund payment are allowed there. Otherwise, any provision for gratuity, unapproved fund, etc., totally disallowed. 40 small b, present Jan 25 front listen. 40B, if you're a partnership firm assessed as such, PFAS, then you will be given deduction 2R amounts. Interest on any amount advance, capital, a loan, advance, whatever. So deed or 12%, whichever less, simple interest. Whatever allowed will become income in the hands of partner. 18% deed only, 12% allowed. Income is to partner again.
6%.
ಕೈಯ ಹೊಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ದೇವ್ರೇ 12% ಕೆಪ್ಪ 12% ಅದನ್ನೇ ಬಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಾಯ ಡೀಡಲ್ಲಿ 12%, ಡೆಬಿಟೆಡ್ ಡೀಡಲ್ಲಿ 18%, ಡೆಬಿಟೆಡ್ ಎಷ್ಟು 12%, ಡೀಡಲ್ಲಿ 18%, ಡೆಬಿಟೆಡ್ 18%. ನಾನು ತಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕಾಗ್ತಲ್ಲ ಈ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ವಾಪಸ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋ ನೀವು. 18% ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ ದ ಡೀಡ್, ಡೆಬಿಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟು 18%. Allowed under income tax is 12%. That means income to the partner in his books, business income is also 12%. 12%. 6% ಯಾರದು 6% ಅಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟು 12%. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಅವಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬವಿನಿಲ್ಲೋದ್ಲ ಇರ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಸ್ ಡೆಬಿಟೆಡ್, ಸೊ 18% ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓಕೆ, ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಇಸ್ allowed? 12%. Income to the partner ಎಷ್ಟು
12%.
expenditure will become the income to the partner. Fine. Then remuneration only to working partner, Shreya. So as per the deed, or first 3 lakh, 90% of book profit, or 1,50,000, whichever is higher. Nim syllabus ladda tane idido 90%, 1,00,000, whichever is higher. On the balance 60% book profit, whichever is less ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನ salary ratio ಸಿಂದು a portion ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. This is about the 40 small b. Deemed profit. 43B, there are 8 plus 1 items. 8 items due date ಒಳಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ this year allowed, ಇದರ next year. One item due date MSME Act, micro ಮತ್ತೆ small ಮಾತ್ರ, ಇದು important. Micro ಮತ್ತೆ small ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, medium ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದನ್ನ you have to pay within 31st March of the previous year. If you pay next year, it will be allowed in the next year. Only March month transaction ಇದ್ರೆ 45 days time ವರೆಗೆ ಕೊಡಬಹುದು. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ it is allowed in the next year only. Then special provisions, 44A, books of account, you have to talk about. 44AB, tax on it. So tax on it is normally above 1 crore. 10 crore rupees when the digital collection less than or equal to 5% of the receipt as well as payment. Professions above 50 lakh rupees, digital collection are 75 lakh. Then presumptive income, if you are claiming lower income than prescribed, then also you have to go for tax on it. 44AD, if your turnover less than equal to 200 lakh, then digital collection is 5%, then 300 lakh. You have to offer normally 8%. However, digital collection within 130 and 1 due date, ಇದನ್ನು ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, 6% has to be considered separately. 44 ಅಡ್ಡ, a film tea ಹಾಕಿ specified professionals ಗೆ, then up to 50 lakh normally, but digital collection less than 5% ಇದ್ದಾಗ 75 lakh, income is 50%. A digital collection or not, income will remain same. 44 AE, goods carriage vehicles, when you're having less than equal to 10 vehicles, then heavy goods vehicle get 1,000 per ton of the heavy goods vehicle. Then all the vehicles 7,500 per month or part of the month per vehicle. Capital gains, 247 transfer, extremely important. 214 capital asset, then only leads to capital gain. Transfer in sale, exchange, extinguishment, etc. Capital asset, any security held by FII, any property held except stock in trade, because it comes under business income. Movable personal effects, jewelry is always a capital asset, JARPAS, always a capital asset. Then non-urban agricultural land and specified bonds. STCA, short-term capital asset, so normally 36 months. Then loser, LU user, listed security units of UTI and zero coupon bond, 12 months. LBB ಮತ್ತೆ unlisted shares ಗೆ 24 months has to be considered. So 247 is a transfer, so 214 is a capital asset. So section 247 is a transfer, section 47 no transfer. So gift, will, etc. will not be considered. Interesting point is conversion of gold into EGR, amendment ado, ಅಥವಾ vice versa, shall not lead to transfer. Period of holding, both period of holding has to be considered. Computation of capital gain is like a sale, normal sale value, full value of sale consideration, less expense incidental to sale. This is called NSC. That the cost ಮತ್ತು index cost of acquisition minus ಮಾಡಿ, then capital gain ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ನಿಮ್ಮ previous year ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, 2001 to indexation 100, previous year ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ income tax law previous year ಕರೀರಿ, 23 to 24 ಗೆ 345 ಅಲ್ಲ 348, ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? 348. Any asset acquired before 1/4/2001, actual cost or fair market whichever is higher, green ink ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. If it is a ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಆರ್ ಬೋತ್ ಸ್ಟಾಂಪ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಫೇರ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ತಗೊಳಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಲ್ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ 1/4/2001 ಇಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ ಇಗ್ನೋರ್ಡ್. ಎಕ್ಸೆಂಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ 54 ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಮಾತ್ರ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಯಾವುದು BDG, ಬಾಂಬೆ ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ ಗೋವಾ. ಓಕೆ, 54B, 54D, 54G ಅಂಡ್ GA ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು. ದೆನ್ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್, ಬಾಂಬೆ ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ ಗೋವಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ 54B, 54D, 54G ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ or ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ತೇಜು. whereas all the sections long term only. 54 ರೆಸಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಮನೆ, 9 ಮನೆ ಬಾಗಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ 54 5+4 ರೆಸಿಡೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಓದ್ಕೊಬೇಡಿ. ಸೊ ಸೆಲ್ ರೆಸಿಡೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಡಿ, ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ರೆಸಿಡೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಡಿ. 54B ಭೂಮಿ. ದೆನ್ 54D land build ind and land building forming part of industrial undertaking. 54 EC special case. So any long term capital, sorry, LTCA being LBB, if you transfer the same, invest in 4 bonds. ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, some boys example ತಗೊಂಡಿರ್ತೀನಿ. ಸಿಂಧು ಗೊತ್ತೇನೆ. ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಹೈವೇ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಲಗಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ರೈಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಮಂಗಳೂರು NH47 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. 4 bonds, ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಹೈವೇ ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಬಾಂಡ್ಸ್, ದೆನ್ RECL, PFCL ಅಂಡ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಫಿನಾನ್ಸ್ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್. ದೀಸ್ ಫಂಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ 50 lakh. 54 EC ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ತರದ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ 6 months. ಮರಿಬೇಡ ನಾನು. ಓಕೆ, ಎವ್ರಿವೇರ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಯು ಗೆಟ್ 131 ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ದೆನ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಗೇನ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದಟ್. 54 RHP to RHP, whereas 54B is ಭೂಮಿ. 54 urban agriculture land ಸೇಲ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಎನಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ನಾನ್ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ನ್ಯೂ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಸೆಟ್. 54D ಆಯ್ತು. 54F ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಆಫ್ ಎನಿ LTCA other than RHP, but invest in RHP NSC, okay, then proportionate exemption ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ 54 ಮತ್ತೆ 54F ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ 10 crore ಲಿಮಿಟ್, 10 crore. 54 ಅಲ್ಲಿ 2 houses ಎಕ್ಸೆಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಸಿಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ 2 crore rupees ಎಕ್ಸೆಂಪ್ಷನ್. ಓಕೆನಾ? ರೈಟ್. ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸೇಷನ್ LTCG, if it is equity share UF units in business trust, 10% in excess of 1 lakh rupees. So May 25 1,20,000 ನೋಡ್ಬೇಡಿ. 111A 15% ಇದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ. ದೆನ್ ಅದರ್ LTCG 20%. any other STCG the normal income tax is normal way. 50AA specified mutual fund and market limited debentures. Specified mutual fund ಮಾತ್ರ 1/4/2023 ಮಾತ್ರ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು ಶಂಕರ್. ಓಕೆ, MLD purchased on any date, then this basically which is neither equity oriented fund nor ಈ ತರ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಬರೋದು. So this is a mutual fund where above 65% ಇದ್ರೆ is called equity oriented fund. More than 35% is normal. It is less than equal 35% ಇದ್ರೆ then this comes under 50AA, is always short. Income from other source, dividend is always other source income irrespective of whether a deal or not. Gift income 3 RMRs, cash gift above 50,000 rupees, then LBB stamp value minus Z above 50,000 rupees, BV Z pass minus fair market value minus Z above 50,000 rupees taxable. LBB condition check ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Date of sale, date of agreement and date of registration of the sale deed, if they do not coincide, do it to match, then consider date of agreement stamp value, provide 2 conditions satisfied. One, though you should receive at least some consideration itu sa on or before the date of agreement, and should be by digital mode. Digital mode, account page,
account page draft ACS
of any banking or approved channel. Very good. Then second one, consideration. Okay, consideration into 110%. Stamp value if it is less than or equal to consideration into 110%, ignore 50C. Also actual consideration of stamp value, whichever is higher, this figure or reference to valuation officer, whichever is less, minimum actual consideration has to be considered for all practical purposes. Then illi again adu business trust is income ena bandre it's always taxable. Sum received minus amount which is at which is already issued. ಮತ್ತೆ 56,239 ಲೈಫ್ ಇನ್ಸೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ above 5 lakh rupees ಅದು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಬಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಪೆನ್ಷನ್ಗೆ 1/3 or 15,000 ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ಲೆಸ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಟೆಂಪರರಿ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ತರನೇ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಡಿಪ್ರಿಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ತರ ಇಲ್ಲೂ ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಲೈಫ್ ಇಸ್ ಇದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ನಾನು, ಇದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚಾರ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಎವ್ರಿಬಡಿ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಗೋ ಥ್ರೂ ಅಗೇನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇನ್ಸೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ, ಕೀ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಇನ್ಸೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಫುಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಬಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಎವ್ರಿ ಅದರ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಆ 10% ಆಫ್ ದ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಪೋಸ್ 10 lakh is the policy amount. If I pay 12%, ETC reduction ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ up to 1,50,000. ಬಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಂಪ್ಷನ್ 10 ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೇಮ್ ವೇ 5 lakh ಇಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಯುಟರಿ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮ್ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಇದೆ. ಟೈಮ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಗೋ ಥ್ರೂ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. Clubbing 60 to 65. Anybody else income, if it is included, is called clubbing. Okay. Minor's income is clubbed in the hands of such parent who is having highest total income in the first year of clubbing, and you get a exemption up to rupees 1,500 per minor child, only under the old regime. New regime only ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Next, 68 to 69D, deemed incomes, CME plus H, all these are taxed at 60% plus 15%
25
plus 4%, 78% ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. 70 to 80, set off and carry forward. Unabsorbed allowance I have discussed. Other things, in the year of set off, any income can be just taken any other head or any other source, exception. So, salary ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಲಾಸ್ ಬರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. House property 71(3)(a), it cannot be adjusted, it can be adjusted against any other head of income, maximum 2 lakh in the current year. Subsequent year, house property only against house property, any amount. Then business only, speculation loss is untouchable, speculation profit touching positive. Speculation loss is cannot be set off against any other head of income. Then 35 AD, ಅದೊಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 35 AD talks about specified 14 specified businesses, which square FB S square. Capex. Capital expenditure except LGF, fully allowed. If it is unabsorbed, 73 says it can be carried forward for any number of years, but adjustable only against that 14 specified businesses. 100 plus bed hospital, then 2-star plus hotel, cold storage plant, edible oil ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, agriculture ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Then what is it? Warehouse for agriculture ಬರುತ್ತೆ, warehouse for sugar ಬರುತ್ತೆ, edible oil ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಅದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕಾಮನ್ಲಿ ಆಸ್ಕ್. Then, capital gains only, small tumbler can be kept in the big tumbler. Big tumbler cannot be kept in the small tumbler. It means short-term capital loss can be adjusted against short-term or long-term, but long-term cannot be adjusted against the short-term. Agreed? Then other source only loss ಬರುತ್ತೆ, carry forward ಇಲ್ಲ. All the losses can be house property, business, capital gain can be carried forward for next 8 years to be adjusted only against respective head of income in the year of carry forward and set off. Only exception is speculation loss 4 years, racehorse loss only 4 years to be adjusted only against those incomes. Yes, deductions ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಗ್ಲಾನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ATC ಮತ್ತೆ ATCCD1 ಮತ್ತೆ ATCCC put together maximum you get 1,50,000 deduction. ETCCD 10% ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ 14% ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಮಾತ್ರ, 1.5 lakh ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯರ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ಗೆ. ಸೇಮ್ ATCCH ಅಗ್ನಿವೀರ್ ಫಂಡ್ಗೆ ಎನಿ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್. Then ETD, D for disease insurance premium, normally 25,000 for self, 25,000 for the parents. If one of them is, any one of them is a senior citizen, you can go for 50,000. DD, dependent disability, 75,000 or 1,20,000 flat. So if a person is totally blind, if I am taking care of him, I get 1,20,000 reduction. Whereas that person himself is having a income, then 1,20,000 reduction he gets under 80U, because you are having a specific disability. Then ETDDB, Bimari, 40 up to 40,000 or up to rupees 1 lakh. It is the ETDD ಮತ್ತು ETU ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫ್ಲಾಟ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಅಪ್ ಟು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸಪೋಸ್ 35,000 ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 35,000 ಮಾತ್ರ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಲೋನ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ Narasimha is not my blood relative, but if I take him as my legal guardian, he is also covered for the purpose of ETE. Any amount of interest 8 years ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ETEA, interest on loan, whatever is not claimed under self-occupied property, then you can claim here up to 1.5 lakh here, as long as the property value does not exceed 45 lakh, and the the loan is sanctioned between 19 to 22. At the ETEB, 19 to 20, electric vehicle, interest up to 1,50,000 rupees. ಇಲ್ಲಿ 3 alphabetsಗೆ 50,000 into 3 ಅಂತ ನಾನು ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು. EA, EEB. ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ ಶಂಕರಣ್ಣ? ETG, godly donations. So without limit 100%, everything of national and international important. Without limit 50% ಸದ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ PM ಡ್ರಾಟ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇರೋದು, ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವುದು ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ವಿತ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ 100% only 2 items, Indian Olympic Association ಮತ್ತೆ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಫಾರ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್. ಲೋಕಲ್ ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲದು, ಲೋಕಲ್ ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಫಾರ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್. Then with limit 50% is other than family planning. Okay, so other than the and local authority, then religious, CAPS foundation, etc. ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ donation when you give to this with limit ಅಂದ್ರೆ maximum 10% of the total income is the donation amount. ಈಗ ಜವಾಹರ್ಲಾಲ್ ನೆಹರು, ಆಲ್ ನೆಹರು ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ರಿಮೂವ್. ಓಕೆ, ನೆಹರು, ರಾಜೀವ್ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ತೆಗೆದುಬಿಟ್ಟವ್ರೆ. ETGG, ಗರ್ ಗರ್ ಕಾರ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ 1013A, ನೀನು HRS ಕ್ಲೈಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಕ್ಲೈಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು 5,000 per month. QQB ಮತ್ತೆ RRB. QQB is for the royalty of authors. RRB is for the patent. ಇದು ಡಬಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ 80EA ಸೀರೀಸ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1.5 lakh ಇದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ 3 lakh ಇದೆ. ETU ಹೇಳಾಯ್ತು. TTB ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಓದಬೇಕು. ಬುಡ್ಡ ಇಫ್ ಎ ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ 60+ above, SB ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ FD ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅಪ್ ಟು 50,000 ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ವೆರಸ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಅದರ್ ದನ್ ದಟ್ 80 TTA ಓನ್ಲಿ ಫಾರ್ SB ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ non-resident ಗೆ 10,000 ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ 10AA. SEZ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಫಸ್ಟ್ 5 years 100%, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 5 years 50%, ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 5 years 50% ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ವಿಚ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೆಸ್. Profit is equal to profits of the SEZ unit into export turnover divided by total turnover. Export turnover should be received within 30th September. Within 6 months only, 30th September ಬರುತ್ತೆ, as long as you filed the ITR within the due date. 115 BBJ net winnings ಈಗ flat 30% tax rate ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Return of income 139.1. Transfer pricing ಎಷ್ಟಿಗೆ 31st October due date, then 30th November due date. Other than the transfer pricing, it is 31st October. Any other result 31st July. Specified date for tax audit and any other report ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ 1 month before 139.1 due date. What are 139 due date now refer ಮಾಡಿ. Next, so 139.3 is the LOS, 3 alphabet loss return. If you don't file the loss return, you cannot carry forward the loss. 139.4 late return. 139.4 it has to be filed within 31st December or completion of the estimate whichever is earlier. Same like revised return. 140 who can sign individual by himself ಅಥವಾ representative HF ಅಥವಾ ಕರ್ತ ಅಥವಾ any other adult members, senior member, ಕಂಪನಿಯಲ್ಲಿ MD, then partnership formal managing partner, political party chief executive officer. ತುಂಬಾ ಚೀಪ್ ಅವರು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 140A is the self assessment tax. 140B in the case of ಯಾವುದು 139 capital A, 139 capital A is the updated return. Other the tax ಗೆ 140 capital B. So if you are paying within 1 year 25%, we are paying within 2 years ಅಂದ್ರೆ 132A 80A is 50% you have to pay. TDS limits you have to buy heart. 182 is salary. 184A is normally 10%. Then 184B ಮತ್ತೆ BBB ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ 30%, ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಯಾಶುವಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ಸ್. 184B winning from ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಗೇಮ್ಸ್ ನೆಟ್ ವಿನ್ನಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಟ್ ದ ಎಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಇದು ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಅಂಡ್ ನೋ ಲಿಮಿಟ್, ಬೇರೆಲ್ಲ 10,000 ಲಿಮಿಟ್. 184C ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಬೌವ್ 30,000 rupees ಅಥವಾ ಎಗ್ರಿಗೇಟ್ ಅಬೌವ್ 1 lakh rupees. ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ HF ಆದರೆ 1%, ಅದರ್ಸ್ಗೆ 2%. ದೆನ್ 184IA ಇಮ್ಮೂವಬಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಇದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. 50 lakh ಆರ್ ಮೋರ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ. ಈಗ ಲಾಟ್ರಿ 10,000ಗೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, 10,001ಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ 50 lakhಗೂ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. 50 greater than equal to 50 lakh either consideration or stamp value. Okay, ಇದು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. 184IB if you are not covered other rental, ಇಲ್ಲಿ 50,000ಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ TDS ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ದೆನ್ 184I ಮೆಷಿನರಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಗೆ 2% TDS, ರೆಂಟಿಗೆ, ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಬೋತ್ಗೆ 10% TDS. ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ಸ್ 184J ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ 10%, ಕಾಲ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಗೆ FTSಗೆ ರಾಯಲ್ಟಿಗೆ 2%. 30,000 ಫಾರ್ ಆಲ್ ದ 4 ಐಟಮ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಎಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಫೀಸ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ 5 ಐಟಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಫೀಸ್ಗೆ ನೋ ಲಿಮಿಟ್. 184M above 50 lakh rupees when there is a payment made toward contract etc. 184N is ನನ್ನ ಕಾಸು when I am withdrawing it above 1 crore rupees 2% TDS. 184R perquisite in the case of business or profession above 20,000 10%. Then TCS provisions, normally TCS is 1%, some special cases 2% ಇದೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ 206C 1G go through ಮಾಡಿ. LRS ಲಿಮಿಟ್ಗೆ above 7 lakh rupees most of the case ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಚಾರ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ, go through ಮಾಡಿ. Same way 206C 1H. So whenever you sell the goods 206C 1H ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪೇಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚಾರ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿ. So last year your turnover is above 10 crore and you have purchased more than 50 lakh, then you should do TDS under 184Q. If you don't come under 184Q, seller has to do the TDS, TCS. ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಇದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಕಡೆ ನೋಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಇಮ್ಮಿ ಟಕ್ ಅಂತ. ಪರ್ಕ್ವಿಸಿಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪರ್ಕ್ವಿಸಿಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ದನ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 5,000, ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಸಿಂಬಲ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಲೆಸ್ ದನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಪರ್ಕ್ವಿಸಿಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ದನ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 5,000. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಈಗಷ್ಟೇ ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡಲ್ಲ ಯಾವುದು 184IA ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ದನ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 50 lakh ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸು ಅಷ್ಟೇ, advance tax greater than equal to 10,000 you should pay installments. Whereas if you are a resident having a no business income, only no advance tax obligations if you are a resident senior citizen, then otherwise you have to pay 4 ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ವಿಡೋಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಯಾವುದು ಜೂನ್ 15 ಶುರುವಾಗಿ ಮಾರ್ಚ್ 15 ವರೆಗೆ ಕ್ವಾರ್ಟರ್ಲಿ 15 + 30 + 30 ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಗೆ 100%. ಅವರ್ ಇಫ್ 44AD and 44 ಅಡ್ಡ SSC ಒಂದೇ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ 15 ಮಾರ್ಚ್ ಒಳಗೆ 100% ಕಾಣಬೇಕು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 234A to D ಡಿಲೇಡ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಡಿಲೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 1% ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಡಿಲೇಡ್ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ITR 1%. 234B 234B 90% of tax if you are not paid within 31st March. April 1%. 234C 15-45% ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ 1% ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜೂನ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸೆಪ್ಟೆಂಬರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 12% ಮತ್ತೆ 36% ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸೇಷನ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದೊಮ್ಮೆ ಗೋತ್ರು ಮಾಡಿ. 234D ಬೈ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಪೇಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ರಿಫಂಡ್, ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ 0.5% ನೀವು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಬರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಈ ಫೀಸ್, ಫಸ್ಟ್ 4 ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 4 ಫೀಸ್, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ. ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ. ಸೊ 234 ಈಸ್ TDS ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಡಿಲೇ ಆದರೆ 200 per day. 234 Gನು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಇಫ್ ಯು ETG 35 ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಕಡೆ 200 per day. 234F if you don't file the return within the due date, then you have to pay 5,000 rupees fees. But if your total income is below 5 lakh rupees, 1,000 rupees. Okay. 234H PAN and Aadhaar has to be linked. Illade 1,000 rupees is the fees. Alternate minimum tax. ನಿಮಗೆ MAT ಅಂತ ಕಂಪನಿಗೆ ಫೈನಲ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರ್ ದನ್ ಕಂಪನೀಸ್. ಸೊ ವೆನೆವರ್ ದ SSCs has claimed ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ 6AC ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಬೇಸ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅದು 10AA ಮತ್ತೆ 35D ಕ್ಲೈಮ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ದೆನ್ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ದ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಯು ಕ್ಲೈಮ್ ಇದನ್ನ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಓಕೆ. 10AA 35AD ಲೆಸ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 32 ಡಿಪ್ರಿಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇದರ ಮೇಲೆ 18.5%, ವಿಚ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೈಯರ್. ಇಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಫಿಗರ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೋರ್, Y - X ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 15 years. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 15 years cooperative societyಗೆ instead of 18.5%, 15%. Whereas if they are coming under the optional new regime, compulsory new regime, 115 BAC, 115 BD, 115 BAE, ಇದು AMT provisions apply ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. And also adjusted total income is total income add back chapter 6AC ATP ಬರ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇದು ಬಿಲ್ಲ. 35AD less this one, and 5 slab associates having total income up to rupees 20 lakh ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ AMT provisions ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಲಾಟ್ರಿ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. 111A 112Aಗೆ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ 60 ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. 112Aಗೆ 87A ರಿಬೇಟು ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬೇರೆಲ್ಲ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ಡಿಸ್ಅಲೌಡ್. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಇದ್ದು ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸಸ್, ಫೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪೆನಾಲ್ಟೀಸ್ ಅನ್ಲೆಸ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಕಾಂಪನ್ಸೇಟರಿ ಪೆನಾಲ್ಟೀಸ್, TDS ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್. ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಜರ್ನಲಿ ಅಡ್ವರ್ಟೈಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಅಲೌಡ್ 100%. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಆಯಿತು. ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ ಆಯಿತು. ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಷನ್ಗೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಗೋತ್ರು ಮಾಡಿ. ಎಸ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ಸೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರೀಮಿಯಮ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಒನ್ ಚಾರ್ಟ್ ರಿಪೀಟೆಡ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್. ಯಾ, 15% is the deduction premium limit for specially abled people. Okay. PF taxation again. Interest on PF above 9.5% taxable. ಅದು above 7.5 lakh ಅದು fully taxable ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Yeah, this again extremely important page is 68 page. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ just before the exam go through ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Page number 68 ಅಂತ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Who has to file ITR ಅಂತ. If the aggregate amount deposited in the current account is above 1 crore, or the savings bank account 50 lakh rupees. In ಎಲ್ಲ ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ದನ್. ಫಾರಿನ್ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಬೌವ್ 2 lakh ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಇಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿ ಬಿಲ್ ಅಬೌವ್ 1 lakh rupees. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ITR ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಈವನ್ ದೋ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಕಮ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ITR ಲಿಮಿಟ್. ಅಥವಾ ಟರ್ನ್ ಓವರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಬೌವ್ 60 lakh rupees. ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಬೌವ್ 10 lakh. TDS TCS ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸೀಡಿಂಗ್ 25,000 rupees. ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ ಅಬೌವ್ 50,000. ಇದನ್ನು 68 ಪೇಜ್ ನಂಬರ್ 68 ಅನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಗೋತ್ರು ಮಾಡಿ. ಟೈಮ್ ಇರಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲದಿರಲಿ. ಬಜೆಟ್ 23 ಹೈಲೈಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಬಟ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಗೋತ್ರು ಮಾಡಿ. ಇದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ದೆನ್ EGR ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸೊ ನಾನ್ ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಈಗ ಔಟ್ಸೈಡ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಗಿಫ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸೇಬಲ್ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. ದೆನ್ 1010D 5 lakh ಇದ್ದ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ದೆನ್ ಅಗ್ನಿವೀರ್ ಸ್ಕೀಮಿಂದ ಏನೇ ಬಂದಾಗ ಅದು ಫುಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸೆಂಪ್ಟೆಡ್. 10AA ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಫೈಲ್ ITR ವಿದಿನ್ ದ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್. ಅಗ್ನಿವೀರ್ ಕಾರ್ಪಸ್ ಫಂಡ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ. ದೆನ್ RFA ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಇದೆ. 35D ಬೇಡ ಬಿಡಿ. 43B ಅದೇ ಯಾವುದು MSME ಇದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. 44AB ಲಿಮಿಟ್ 2 crore has become 3 crore rupees if it is a 5% cash fixed condition is satisfied. 44BB ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. BBB ಓಕೆ. 48 EGR ಸೇಮ್. 50AA ನ್ಯೂ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಲ್ಲ, ಯಾವುದು ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈಡ್ ಮ್ಯೂಚುವಲ್ ಫಂಡ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾವುದು MLD. ಯಾ, 10 crore ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಈ ವರ್ಷನೇ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು 54 ಮತ್ತೆ 54 ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ 54F ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ 10 crore ಎಕ್ಸೆಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಓಕೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಟೇಕ್ ಕೇರ್ ದೆನ್ 56 to 7B ಏಂಜಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸೇಷನ್ ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇಲ್ಲ ಯಾ ರೈಟ್ 13 ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಯ್ತು ETCCH ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದೆ 115 BSc 87A ರಿಬೇಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಯ್ತು ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಲೆ ಕವರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಬಟ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಗ್ಲಾನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ TDS ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದು 206C 1G ಆಯ್ತಾ ಇದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಒಂದು ಚಾರ್ಟ್ ತರ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆ ಚಾರ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ 206C 1G ಅದನ್ನ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಿಕ್ಲಿ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಯಾಟ್ ಓಕೆ ಸೊ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ GST ಸರ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸೊ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ 30 marks MCQs ಸೊ ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಟು September 24 ಸಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಇದೆ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ 2 ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ 6 marks ಸೊ 6 marks ಈಚ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 2 marks ಫಾರ್ ಈಚ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ 6 into 2 ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿಗೆ 6 ಒಂದು ಕೇಸ್ಗೆ 6 12 marks ಆಯ್ತು ಮತ್ತೆ 3 ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಓಕೆ ಸೊ 2 ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಸಾರಿ 2 marks ಮತ್ತೆ 1 mark ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ GST ಬಟ್ GST ಒಂದ್ಸಲ 12 marks MTP ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇತ್ತು ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ 2 ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ದೆನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಸಮ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಬೆನಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಡೂ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ರಿಜಿಮ್ ನ್ಯೂ ರಿಜಿಮ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ವಿಚ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ದೆನ್ AMT ಅಪ್ಲಿಕಬಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ನೋಡಬೇಕು AMT ಅಪ್ಲಿಕಬಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ AMT ಕೊಡಲೇಬೇಕು AMT ಅಪ್ಲಿಕಬಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಸ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಬಿ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 5 years ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಹೌ ದೇ ಆಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ GST ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಗ್ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿದೀವಿ ವಾಪಸ್ ಯಾವುದೆಲ್ಲ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಆಸ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ 1 ಕ್ವಶನ್ 2 ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ರೆಸಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ TDS TCS ಒಂದು 6 mark 4 mark ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ 3 ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಹೌಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಕ್ಯಾಬಿನ್ ಇನ್ 5 marks ಗೆ ದೆನ್ ಕ್ಲಬ್ಬಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಅಪ್ ಅನಾಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಥಿಯರಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ವೇ ದ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅದು ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸಲ ಗೋತ್ರು ಮಾಡಿ ಪೇಜ್ ನಂಬರ್ 87 ಅನ್ನ ಗೋತ್ರು ಮಾಡಿ September 24 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಿತ್ತು ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇದೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ನಂಬರ್ 1 ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ನಂಬರ್ 2A ರೆಸಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟಸ್ 2B ಒಂದು ಅನಾಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಆಫ್ TDS TCS ಬಂದೇ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಗೇನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ರಿವೈಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಈ 139 ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅದೊಂದು ಯಾವುದೋ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ದೆನ್ 5 ಇಂದ 8 ವರೆಗೆ ಏನು ಬರುತ್ತೆ GST ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಸರ್ ಹಸ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ಡ್ ಓಕೆನಾ ರೈಟ್ ಸೊ MTP 1 ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ಇಟ್ ನೋಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ MTP ಸಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ 2A ರೆಸಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟಸ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಡಿಪ್ರಿಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇದೆ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಗೇನ್ ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಇದೆ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಗೇನ್ ಸೊ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಅನಾಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಥಿಯರಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಹೇಳಿದಲ್ಲ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ATR ಟ್ರೂ ಆರ್ ಫಾಲ್ಸ್ ಆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ ರೈಟ್ ಸೊ ಇದು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಸೊ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ 64 marks ಯು ಆರ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟ್ 64 ಸಿ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ 64 marks MCQ 15 ಥಿಯರಿ 49 out of 35 out of 49 GST ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ 50 out of 35 out of 35 ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಸೊ ಐ ರಿಪೀಟ್ MCQ 15 plus 15 ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟ್ 35 ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ 49 ಇಲ್ಲಿ 35 ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ 50 ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1 mark ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು GST ಅವರಲ್ಲ SMS ಪಾಪ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಓಕೆನಾ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅದೇ ಆ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ರೆಸಿಡೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟಸ್ ಗಿಫ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಕ್ಲಬ್ಬಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರೊವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ನೋ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಕ್ರೂಷಿಯಲ್ ಒನ್ ಸೊ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟೆಡ್ 100 marks ಐ ಆಮ್ ಓಕೆ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ನೀವು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಓಕೆ ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಕಮ್ ಔಟ್ ವಿದೌಟ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟಿಂಗ್ 100 marks ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ GST ಐ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ 90 marks ಓಕೆ 100 ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಖುಷಿ 90 marks ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನನ್ನ ಸಜೆಷನ್ ಸೊ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ GST ಯಾವ್ದು ಈಸಿ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ನಾನು GST ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ GST ಇಸ್ ಈಸಿಯರ್ ದನ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಬಟ್ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಕ್ರ್ಯಾಂಕಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಸೊ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ May 24 ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ವಾಸ್ ಈಸಿಯರ್ ದನ್ GST ಇತ್ತು ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಐ ನಾಟ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಸೊ ಯು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಸೊ ನನ್ನ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಮೀ GST ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಈಸಿಯರ್ ದನ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಟು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ನನಗೆ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಂಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಓಕೆ ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ 2 to 210 what you are supposed to do plans to scribbling something in the last page 210 to 240 assuming income tax was easy then income tax comes here GST comes here assuming GST descriptive ಮಾತ್ರ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ನಾನು descriptive comes here and income tax comes here so ಒಮ್ಮೆಲೆ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು you cannot go ಒಮ್ಮೆ GST ಒಮ್ಮೆ income tax ಇಲ್ಲ so assuming income tax was easy ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟಿವ್ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಟು GST ಇದು 145 ನೋಡಿದಾಗ 210 to 240 ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಸಿಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್, ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ವೆಲ್ ನೋನ್, ನೀಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್, ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಸಿಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್, ದೆನ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಸಿಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್, ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಸೊ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಅರೌಂಡ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಗೆ ನಾನು 30 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನಿಮಗೆ. ಅದು ಪ್ರಿಫರೇಬ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನೇ ಮಾಡಿ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ಗೆ ಅದು 15 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ GST ನಲ್ಲೂ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಈಸಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಆಗಿ. ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನೇ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ 30 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆಲ್ಲ 15 ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬೇಕು 3 o'clockಗೆ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟಿವ್ ಡನ್. Whereas if the GST was easy, GST descriptive done. Then 3 to 3:45 all MCQs of income tax and GST. Strictly follow this. Then 3:45 to 4:15 again 30 minutes for the first question of income tax ಅಥವಾ GST. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತು ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಅದು? Then 15 minutes each for two more questions. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಬ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ. ಸೊ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೋ ಅಪ್ ಟು 450, ಒಂದು 5 minutes ಆ ಕಡೆ ಇದ್ರು 450 to 5. ಸೊ your scribble ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ GST ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಬಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಬನ್ನಿ, ಅನಾನ್ಸರ್ಡ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್, ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಅನಾನ್ಸರ್ಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ದೆನ್ ಲ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್. ಇದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತು ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is the pattern. So suggested answer of the September 24 ಇರಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟಿವ್ ಅದು MCQ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟಿವ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿ, ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ನೋಟ್ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇಡ, ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನೋಟ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಕೊಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಬೇಡ, ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ವೆರೆವರ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಡಿ. ಸೊ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಆಡ್ ವೈ ನೋಡಿಲಿ, ಡಿಸ್ಅಲೌಡ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಯು ಟು ರೈಟ್ ವೈ ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಲೌಡ್ ಅಂತ. ಅಲೌಡ್ ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕ್ಲೂಸಿವ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್. ಕೆಲವರು ಅಲೌಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡಂತಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಐಟಮ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಡ್ ಲೆಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ ದೇವರು? ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ ಡಿಲೇಡ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ GST ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಯಾರು? ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ 15 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೈಮ್ ತಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ, ಒದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ದೆನ್ ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ 115 BSc ನಲ್ಲ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪೇಬಲ್ ಬೈ ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಡಿಫಾಲ್ಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಜಿಮ್ ಇಸ್ 115 BSc. ಆಪ್ಷನಲ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್. ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ವಾ ಆ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್? ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಅನ್ನೇ ಲೆಸ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದು ನೀವು ಎಲೋ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಲೋ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ದೆನ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ 6 ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟೇಷನ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ವಿಚ್ ಎವರ್ ಈಸ್ ಲೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. Whereas ಮ್ಯಾಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ AMT ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ದೆನ್ ಯು ಟು ಡೂ AMT, ದೆನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೈಯರ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ದಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ದ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಪೇಡ್. ದೆನ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ರೆಸಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟಸ್, ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೇಸ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 6 ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೇಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ದೆನ್ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ದೆನ್ TDS ಬಗ್ಗೆ ವೆರೆವರ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎನ್ ಅನಾಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ TDS ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಸೊ ವಿತ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್, TCS ಬಗ್ಗೆ ವಿತ್ ಅನಾಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬರೀಬೇಕು. ಕ್ವಶನ್ ನಂಬರ್ 3 ಈಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ, ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ, ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ನೋಟ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ RFE ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿ, ಬೇರೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತು ನಿಮಗೆ? ಅಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಆಕ್ಷನ್ ನಾವು ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ ಈವನ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ನ್ಯೂ ರಿಜಿಮ್. ಓಕೆ, ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಗೇನ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟೇಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಏನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಎಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಏನಿದೆ ನೋಟಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡಿ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬೇಡ. ಕ್ವಶನ್ ನಂಬರ್ 4 ರೀಸನಬ್ಲಿ ಅಬೌಟ್, ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಕ್ಲಬ್ಬಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕ್ಲಬ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅದು ಕಂಫರ್ಟಬಲ್ ಇದೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ನಂಬರ್ 4 ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ if you're not at all standard, if you thought question number was very standard, then question number last question you must attempt under both income tax and GST, because ಅದೊಂದು ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಥಿಯರಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದು ಥಿಯರಿ ಈಸಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದು ಆಲ್ಟರ್ನೇಟಿವ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಇದು ಸಜೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ MTP ಆಫ್ ಲೇಟೆಸ್ಟ್ MTP. ಇದನ್ನು ನಮಗೆ ಗ್ಲಾನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡಿ. ಯಾರು? ಸಾರಿ, ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಯುಟರಿ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದಿದೆ, ಇದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ. ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಯುಟರಿ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ಸ್ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ನೋಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನು ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ರೈಟ್ ನಾವು. ಪೇಜ್ ನಂಬರ್ 136 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀನಿ, ಬಟ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಗೋ ಥ್ರೂ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡ ಮಗ? ನಿಮಗೆ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಯುಟರಿ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ಸ್, ಓಕೆ, ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, RFAಗೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ 15% 10% ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ, ಗ್ಲಾನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸೊ ತುಂಬಾ ಟೈಮ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬೇಡ. ಇದನ್ನ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ GST ಬೋತ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಯುಟರಿ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಗ್ಲಾನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಹಾಲ್. So I don't need it to be easy. I need it to be worth it. Be stronger than your excuses. So enjoy the education. Okay, go and enjoy. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ GST ಇಂದ ಶುರು ಆಗಿದೆ ಸರ್, ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡಿದಾರಲ್ಲ ಅವರು, ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. 10:30 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಡನ್. ಸೊ ಇವತ್ತು ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಓದಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ಮಲ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ January 25 ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ವಿತ್ ಸಮ್ ಈಸಿ ಪೋರ್ಷನ್ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ ಟುಮಾರೋ ಮೈ ಸಜೆಷನ್, ಓಕೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾಳೆ GST ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನದೊಳಗೆ. ಸೊ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ಟಿಲ್ ಟುಮಾರೋ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಟ್ಯೂಸ್ಡೇ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ವೆಡ್ನಸ್ಡೇ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ವರೆಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಓದ್ಬೋದು. ದೆನ್ 9 o'clock ನಂತರ ಯು ಟು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಗ್ಲಾನ್ಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ GST ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಯು ಡನ್. ಸೊ 1 o'clock ಒಳಗೆ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು 1 o'clock ಒಳಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ದೆನ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ವಾಟ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಿ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಏನಾದ್ರು ಹೇಳೋದು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ರಿಕಾಲಾ?
Yes, sir.
ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಐ ಮೈಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಸರ್ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ವಿ ಕವರ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಒನ್ ಅವರ್. ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ ಫಾರ್ ಮೈಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಅಟ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್. ಏನ ಕೇಳಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿ. ಚಳಿ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಿದ್ದು ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ, ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಸಿನಾರಿಯೋ ಆಫ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So I hope it was useful for you. Okay. Enjoy ಮಾಡಿ. All the best. God bless you all. Present batch ಅವರು ಸ್ಟೇ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿ. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಆಲ್ ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್. ಗೋ ಅಂಡ್ ರಾಕ್ ದ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ GST ತುಂಬಾ ಈಸಿ ಅಂತ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ, ತುಂಬಾ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ. ಹೆಂಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಹೆಂಗಿರ್ಲಿ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಮೀಟ್ ಯು ಆನ್ ವೆನ್ಸ್ಡೇ ಈವ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸ್ಟಾಪ್.
Thank you, sir.